Let's go over this again. 50 cars, 50 drivers. 3 classes, 1 champion each. Racing in a variety of race formats and locations. Braving the constantly changing conditions and competition. All for a shot at the fame and glory of being the champion. Welcome to HSR Motorsport GT3 series. Is it easy racing against these guys? I don't think so. Indecision can cause chaos on the racetrack, while confidence can result in perfection. Drivers will push each other to the limits and beyond. The champion rises through the ranks to take the ultimate glory. Battles will be fought, won and lost, as drivers fight on tracks all across the globe. There will be fear, pain and loss. There will be courage, pride and triumph. Mistakes will be made, and their consequences could be dire. Precision and skill can only be noticed in the very best. This is racing. This is what we love and do. The question is, what will you do? Hello and welcome to the HSR Motorsport GT3 Season 4 Championship. Today you join us for round 3 here at a sunny Oulton Park. This is the first time we've been revisiting, I was about to say rejoining, revisiting a track in HSR Motorsport broadcast history. We have of course only been broadcasting from Season 2. Otherwise, Misano would be the other track that we've already visited, but that was in Season 1. It was the Season 1 finale. However, Oulton Park was the Season 2 finale. And last time we were here, the rain came down in buckets. It was absolutely pouring it down. It was absolutely chucking it down during the race. So I'm actually quite surprised to see it so sunny all of a sudden. Especially considering that we are heading into autumn/winter. The weather will not be as nice as this in a while, so we need to savour this. We need to savour every single moment. So, a lot of things have happened in the last couple of weeks. Last week we saw an epic race over at Imola in Italy, where Topinka, our Season 2 champion, who has absolutely dominated Season 2 and who has been dominating this season so far as well, got beat by Rebecci to the finish line. It was an absolutely electric moment on track and in the commentary box. But sorry, I was about to make some really weird sounds. Unfortunately, Rebecci got a 30-second penalty for the collision with Jordan that we saw early in the race. Completely forgot about that, and yeah, Jordan didn't put in his ticket, and Rebecci got hit by a 30-second penalty, which is only fair. You look at the footage, it was a very, very aggressive overtake. In fact, he just dive bombed down into turn 18, and there was just nothing Jordan could do. It was absolutely fair that Rebecci received that penalty. So that means technically Topinka has yet to be beaten officially. However, unofficially, we know Rebecci's done it before. Brilliant. And Rebecci was our Season 1 champion, so he's come back to show, yeah, he wants another title. Now, I'm interested to see how Peters fares as well. Peters was our Season 3 champion, our most recent champion, and the only reason he was that was because neither of the other two season champions were involved in Season 3 of racing. But all three of them are here now, here at Oulton Park, so we'll have, hopefully, a good battle to watch for those top positions on the Pro Class leaderboard. Speaking of, let's have a quick look at our leaderboards at the moment, our current championship standings. Let's start with Pro, since we've been talking about it. So, in P1 is, of course, Topinka, with a very good starting position. Then P2 is going to be Hosco. P3, Jordan. So it's a some fairly popular names. Hosco, of course, has been our Pro-Am race winner this season, all season long, and that's why he's been moved up a class, even though he protests, saying these first tracks have just been his favourites. So apparently the admins and the race stewards didn't think that. So he finds himself in the Pro Class now, and somehow in P2. Not a bad start to the season. However, he's not far ahead of Jordan, who's only 2 points behind. And then there's a larger gap down to Valentine, down in P4. Valentine was also a Pro-Am driver who got promoted to the Pro Class, so plenty of class switching this season. Then in P5, bring up the rear, is Kurt Peters. As mentioned before, he was our Season 3 champion, but at the moment he is stuck down in P5 with 23 points. So unfortunately, not the greatest performance for him so far this season. Now we go down a class, down to Pro-Am. In P1 is, of course, Aaron Manchip in the McLaren with 60 points under his belt. He's just been absolutely flying through this season. You can see him actually... Sorry, you can't because you're just looking at the leaderboard, but I can see him just going around track now, setting his laps. But yeah, Manchip has been a very, very big force to deal with last season and especially this season. His main rival, Huben, is unfortunately not performing as well so far. We've only been through 2 races though, so there's still plenty of time for him to improve, plenty of time for that championship battle to continue. Now looking down the rest of the grid, we do have Simmons in P2 with his Mercedes-Benz, 39 points. Then Jim Fox bringing up P3, 31 points. So only 8 points separation between those two. Then it's Janssen in the BMW, 30 points. And then Taylor in the McLaren only 2 points behind Janssen. So there's a really close battle here for P3 in the championship. Only 3 points separating those three drivers from P3 down to P5. And finally, but definitely not last, we do... Sorry, they are the same words. So I keep mixing up last, but by no means least. I just keep mixing it up. Anyways, looking at the AM class, we do have Lewin up in P1. And I have to say, it is quite a surprise to me, seeing as he's had some very public struggles on track. But he nonetheless just pulls in the consistent point finishes every single race. And as a result, he's up in P1 with 56 points. Then it's 8 points down to Huben in the Nissan, who we did of course hear about earlier. Now Manchip did go up a class, so that will be why we haven't seen Huben and Manchip have a have a battle for the championship win. Is because they're in different classes now. Again, just those classes just keep messing us up. Then we have Riley Pennell in a BMW, 44 points, only 4 point separation, and then 11 points between P3 and P4. Rucroft down in the BMW. And then, finally, it's Tyler that brings up the rear in a Porsche. 22 points for our top 5 AM class drivers. So then, practice gets underway. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Every race weekend, there's going to be something different in terms of format. Well, maybe not every race weekend, but it keeps changing. It's not just a standard race format. So today it's 45 minutes of practice, 20 minutes of qualifying, and then an hour and a half of racing. So it's a somewhat endurance-y kind of feel to it, but not quite all the way. Just an hour and a half of racing. Now, what makes this racing interesting is that there can be varying strategies, because these drivers need to make a mandatory pit stop, okay? And that pit stop is for fuel only. Tyres are optional, but they have to pit and load in fuel. If they don't load in fuel, it's not a valid pit stop. They have to do it all again. There is no pit window, so they can pit at any point. So, I mean, who knows? You know, first lap, you chuck in, I don't know, 3 litres, however it is, to get around the track once or twice. You come in, that's your, you know, that's your, you know, that's your pit stop, and job done. You know. Just continue the rest of the race. You've got a massive undercut on everyone else. But yeah, then there is the, you know, the essence of, you know, having a heavy car throughout the rest. It's then just a little tricky. But you know, that's what makes the race so interesting, is having that pit stop window non-existent. Now we do have one interview lined up tonight, and the interviewee will be giving us an announcement on a new partnership that we've recently obtained. Really quite exciting, and I won't spoil it, just so that our interviewee can just talk us through it. Now, I do appreciate we are only looking at the start of the track now. We will have a look over on the leaderboards after the interview, but for now, this will just have to suffice until we can get that interview over and done with. Now, of course, as you heard earlier, this is not the first time that we've been at Oulton Park in the HSR Motorsport broadcast history. We've been here once before, the Season 2 finale. Both the highlights and the full race session, well, not even just the session, just the whole race weekend is up on YouTube as well. So just check out our YouTube channel. If you are watching on Twitch, then it's very similar. It's just the HSR Motorsport. Just type that into your search bar and it should come up. So we are just getting the interviewee over to the commentary box. Give us just a couple moments. And the man, the myth, the legend, we've heard his voice before. Welcome back, Mr. Craig Hewlett. How are you tonight?
Howdy, howdy, howdy. I'm good, mate. How are you?
Surviving. I've got a slight cold, but you just keep powering on. So yeah, we'll see how tonight goes.
Hopefully it's not too bad for you, mate.
No, it's not too bad. I'm in the kind of start stages. I start sounding a bit nasally, but I've still got a voice. So yeah, we'll probably get rid of that tonight with the interview. Well, sorry, the action tonight, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, before we begin, I believe you've got a announcement about a new partnership.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, so HSR Motorsport, as of yesterday, are now official partners of the Setup Garage. So they are new kids on the block. Similar to like your Go Setups, your Coach Dave Academy, Hymo. I do find them sort of in between the Go Setups and Hymo, to be honest. But they approached us. Obviously, they've seen everything that we do, all the league racing and everything like that, and they've wanted to now get involved. So yeah, we are official partners with them now, and anyone is welcome to also use the HSR discount code. Get yourself 15% off if you want by typing in HSR15 whenever you purchase anything from them.
Brilliant! I think that sounds lovely.
Absolutely, helps out definitely.
Oh yeah, I might get a couple myself, but I'll probably only get them for like the really serious races. We'll see. So yeah, let's get the interview going. It might be slightly longer because you're the only interview we've got tonight. But basically,
okay.
So we'll start with a fun question. You've been racing with a McLaren for 3 seasons now. Is it your favourite car? And if so, why or why not?
It's not my favourite car, actually. No.
Ooh. So what is?
My favourite car is the 992. It's an absolute weapon, but I decided to change because I was a bit fed up of living on death's door every single corner. I mean, it definitely makes your races very entertaining, but the McLaren, it's absolutely rapid. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong, the time that I've done there was just one quick lap on faux fuel. Don't worry, I'm a lot quicker than that. But no, it is a very quick car. It's just, I find it quite boring to drive. That's the only thing with the McLaren. It's just, it's very easy, but it's just nothing about it. It's just not exciting. Yeah. So I think there will be a change next season, though.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just about to ask that. Was there no temptation to change it this season? Everyone seems to go BMW.
Yeah, I originally was. I was going BMW. I had signed up with the BMW before the season started, but then I seen the guys that were signing up in the Pro, and I couldn't let them get easy wins because of me being a car that I don't know. So I had to go back to the McLaren. But they've managed to get away easy with it because I unfortunately missed obviously the first race. And the second race at Imola just all went downhill.
Oh yeah, I was wondering what happened at the race start, because obviously you started from the pit lane and then just disappeared off the radar after that.
Yeah, I've been starting to play iRacing. I'm starting getting used to how all the race starts with iRacing work, where you just hit grid, there you go, that's it, wait until you get the green light. And obviously with ACC, starting your ignition, start your engine. And I completely forgot about that. So by the time I actually loaded my setup on, it done the load in circles.
Yeah,
it was too late, and I had 1 second to start my engine, and then I was in the pits. So it's not too bad. I don't mind starting the pits too much, to be honest. I had a very good race with Williams Gaming Club the other night from doing that. But then after the first lap, I thought when I started from the pits, I then forgot to hit my pit limiter. So then instantly I had a drive through from starting from the pits. And then when I was coming in to do my pit, I was then speeding into the pits. So then I got to stop going. No. So I was basically 4 laps down within 2 laps. So that was done.
Yeah, I mean, at some point it just gets too bad. And I completely understand. So, mate, that sounds rough.
It was just too much after all that. So I thought I'd just tune into the stream instead and listen to you.
Yeah. Good. Cool. Now, probably a little more serious about the actual racing So last season was kind of up and down for you. You were kind of racing, and you won the races that you actually competed in, and then you actually
Yeah.
missed like 3 or 4, which obviously meant some penalty points. What's your opinion on your performance last season?
I did have a good season. Obviously, like say, a couple of races I missed, obviously due to my Williams thing and stuff like that. So it was just unfortunate. I just couldn't make it. If I did make all of the races, it could have been very close. I mean, Topinka, he was on form as always. So that there's good battling. It was very good battling last season. And obviously, we've got 2 drop rounds, this season. So I've got my 2 drop rounds done now. So I'm still very much in it. When it comes down to the end of the season, as long as I can make every single race, I'm still very much up there.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, season 2 was nefarious for you for, not being quite as predictable in terms of showing up to races or, getting the pit limit. The race start going on time against out from the pits like you said
Yeah,
before. So, yeah, let's hope. Let's hope.
I hope so, man. Like I say, back on it. Obviously, again, this season's going to be awkward for me because obviously I've got a baby boy due literally in 6 days. So,
Oh, yeah, that's got to spice
so
things up.
yeah, that could mean I might have to end up missing a race or 2 again as well. But hopefully, we'll be able to work around it and we'll be all good.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, what's tricky about that is that Topinka's back this season and back on form as usual. What's your
Yes.
expectations for this season then in terms of race position at the end of the championship?
I mean, I was fuming because Imola, when I was watching the stream, I was quicker than him and Rebecci
Oh my
by
goodness.
over half a second. So I was very gutted about that. That could have been quite an easy win for me. Obviously, the rest of the season, again, even though I'm the one that bloody makes these championships, there's a couple of tracks in here that I do not like, Hungering
Yeah.
being one of them. I am not quick at Hungering. So
Oh
I am.
no.
That was going to be one of my drop rounds. So I am definitely going to suffer there.
Oh dear. Well, yeah, sometimes it's just luck, unfortunately. Sometimes it
That's
just comes
it.
down to bad luck, and if you can't make a race, you just can't make a race.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly that. We've all got lives at the end of the day. It's how it is, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. So we're back at Oulton Park today. Second track I think we've revisited in HSR Motorsport GT3 history. Second time around, and are you confident on this track? How does it feel going round?
I am, yeah. I mean, since obviously like more Kunos updates and stuff like that, I do seem to have slowed since then. I mean, the quickest time I've ever done around here is a 32.1. I can't even get into 32s now.
Oh no.
I mean, I've at the minute, I don't believe Topinka's available tonight, as far as I'm aware of. So at the minute, my main battle is going to be Hosco because I know he has been putting in a lot of practice this week for this track.
Oh yeah.
My quality time, I think, maybe a tenth or so quicker than his.
Hmm.
However, I have raced here a lot, and I do have the consistency with the race pace. He
Okay.
doesn't, in my opinion. So,
Ooh.
and I'm happy that I
Here
know
we
he's going to
go.
hear this. I don't care. I know he doesn't.
Oh, here we go. The fighting talk starts. The rivalries. Oh
It's
yeah.
on.
I love it. And what then? Kind of final question. What's the key to winning here at Oulton Park?
Consistency. It is all about consistency. If you put 1 foot wrong on this track, your race can be very much over very quickly. It's very bumpy, and the high speed corners, like you've got what is it? Turn 1, 2, 3, turn 4 with a hairpin.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
can be you carry too much speed in there, especially when you're trying to overtake. You get a bit ambitious. You
Oh
brake
yeah.
too late and lock up. Once you go up over that hairpin, there's a wall the other side of that grass. It's going to be a lot of damage, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
a tight track as well. So you want to get a good, quick, early start. If you can get that, you can be pretty much well set. 'Cause it's very easy to defend from over to people trying to overtake you here
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of the track being so tight.
So I guess qualifying plays quite an important role as well.
Absolutely, massively at this track, in my opinion.
Good, good. Yeah, and I mean, like you were saying about the consistency, it is a 90 minutes race after all as well. It's like the longest race we have in the season, or one of the longest races. And so there's kind of that endurance mindset that starts creeping in. It's not quite long enough to be classed as kind of an endurance race, but considering the rest is like 2 30-minute sprints or 60 minutes, it is a bit longer.
Yeah, it is a bit longer, this one, but I think the reason why I did this one as the longer one was obviously to help the drivers out themselves, because it's a hard track even if you're doing it for half an hour, because you cannot lose concentration. So it's going to help them become better in themselves, because they're going to have to now concentrate seriously for a long time here.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So you could obviously get the pit stop wrong as well, stuff like that, you know. We all know people don't always read the race details.
Yeah.
So anything can happen.
I think everyone's still stuck in like season 2 mode, where the every single race the pit stop format was exactly the same. 60 minutes. No pit window, but you had to pit for everything. Job done.
Yeah.
Whereas now every race that's changing. So
that's it. I decided to mix up a lot this season. Obviously, the weather I've been quite gentle with compared to previous seasons. But I thought, I'd mix up with the pit strategies, because at the end of the day, if you're only ever doing the same thing day in, day out, you're not going to benefit from it. You're not going to learn from it. So obviously, like today, we've got one mandatory pit stop. However, there is nothing that is mandatory.
Yeah.
Apart from the fuel, you got mandatory fuel, but the time isn't fixed.
Yeah.
So you could put in enough to, you could put in a full tank, and then do a quick dash of fuel, and you're back out within a couple seconds. Or are you going to make your tires last that long? Realistically, probably not. So are people going to be thinking tactically? You're going to be changing tires. That's a 30-second pit stop either way. So you put more fuel in, because it's not going to affect the time.
Yeah.
This is where strategy will come into play, whether people will think about it enough, I think.
Yeah, and it'll make the race very interesting indeed, with all the pit stop chaos that I usually don't even manage to keep track of. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great race.
I think you're going to see quite a few drive-throughs for this one as well, because of how awkward the pit lane is.
yeah, and I mean, it's just going to be interesting. It's at least quite a short pit lane, but yeah, all the same, it is a drive-through, and the drive-throughs are always nasty.
That's it, and it's always entertaining when you get some people coming out of the pit lane.
Oh yeah, we've had some good stuff during practice and quali with that stuff. But yeah, I think that's the end. We've already been chatting for 15 minutes. So thanks for your time, and best of luck for tonight.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you very much, Janice, and then have a good stream, mate.
Thank you. See ya.
I'll try putting a good one for you. See ya.
So, let's get the action rolling. Let's start with a follow on Mr. Hosco, who we of course heard was kind of Hewlett's main rival. I mean, last season, of course, Hosco was a completely different class, and he started out the season in a completely different class as well. So, yeah, new rivalry, but it seems Hewlett's ready for it. He doesn't care what Hosco thinks. I'm sure Hosco will also not care too much. All he'll want to do is just race. And as we say that, he makes an overtake. I think that McLaren did drop back slightly just so I'm through. But yeah, let's go for a little livery walk. We've got 16 minutes remaining to do that. So let's go for a quick run around the track. So we've got Hosco in that orange Repsol BMW, as we've seen throughout the season. We've got Jordan in his normal livery, Dutton back out in his orange and black Porsche, as we saw over at Zandvoort for the season start. Then Jackson in P4, running that purple and yellow livery. He used to change his livery every single race last season, but as you can imagine, that's a lot of hard work, and I think that is a very familiar car in the foreground as we come through turn 16. So then, a little further back down is going to be Rebecci, who of course last race managed to pip Topinka to the front of the grid. And as we heard from Craig Hewlett, I don't think Topinka's going to be here tonight. So this could be potentially some opportunity to improve on the positions. Then we have a new driver who I've never seen before, Story, with Inception Racing, running a very similar livery to that of the Mega Motorsport Italia team. So we'll have to try and distinguish between them. But Story putting on a good show, car number 2, currently running a 134.2, currently up in P6 overall, just just on the tail end of the pros category. So who knows? Maybe this is a double class switch. You know, you go straight from to pro. So that could be interesting to watch. Then we've got Morris, who of course saw lots of action last week in his usual livery. Simmons in the Mercedes-Benz. Oh, and he has mixed it up today again. Green and black. I like it. It looks very different to the cars we've seen on the grid so far. You can see Marcy just in the background there in the Aston Martin. But yeah, I quite like this livery. Really simple, but he's got some branding on the side. Hope, it says. So yeah, you know, just hope for the best. He's had a pretty good season so far. And good results at both Imola and Zandvoort. Then we've got Peters, who is running, I swear, exactly the same livery as Janssen. So potentially teammates there. DSRT Lempers Select is the team's name, so we'll have to keep an eye out on Janssen's livery. Similar thing. Peters, of course, as we were saying earlier, he was our Season 3 champion. So he currently does not have too many points on the leaderboard, currently P5. So we'll have to see how it fares for this man in the BMW. Then we do, of course, have Manchip, our Pro-Am class championship leader in the usual McLaren orange and blue. Lewin in the Mercedes somewhere. There we go, just the Porsche moves out, that orange and black Mercedes, so looking good still. Then we've got Marcy in the black, grey and orange. Aston Martin, again, no change there. Warburton in his usual red, white and black themed HSR Motorsport Academy car. So looking good, I think, in the team colours, especially with the unit jack on the back as he spins out at turn 11. Then we've got Jim Fox in the BMW, similar livery, probably exactly the same livery to last time. And then we do have an older rival, Dieringer, who was here for Season 2 and I think part of Season 3, but he has been absent through the first 2 rounds of the championship. It's great to see him back. Dieringer was one of our Pro-Am class potentially championship contenders if he'd put in some consistent results towards the end of the season. Of course, saw him come alive through rounds 3 and 4, taking a race win and a podium. And that all in a Reitiger, which is basically like a Lambo copy, just a whole lot harder to drive apparently. But yeah, Dieringer now the second Lamborghini on the grid. I believe Topinka is the only other driver. That and what's his name? I can't remember it. Yeah, he wasn't here last race, so that's why his name is just slipping. Then we've got Puller in the BMW. Also, again, quite a good name, quite a fast driver. And now we have Valentine sporting the HSR Esport Academy colours. And I do quite like the yellow he's put in on that. And there's less black around it, which makes it a little more distinctive. So I'll be able to tell the difference between Valentine and maybe some of the other cars that look almost exactly the same. So yeah, and the green highlights as well. Just notice that, looking good. I do quite like that. That is hot, in the words of Will Smith. Then, going further down the grid, we do have a good number of drivers in towards the end of free practice. Novell in that yellow and black Porsche, looking good again as always. One of the few Porsches in the season. I'm seeing a familiar name and I'm excited to see him again. Ozduru, also a car that we saw towards the end of last season and the start of this season. He's come back, but unfortunately I think he has not managed to get his livery correctly uploaded, so unfortunately we don't see anything from that Aston Martin driver. Rucroft, of course, in his trademark red, dark blue and white livery. As usual, ripping it around in the Aston Martin. Then we've got Huben, again, familiar name, familiar livery, nice looking car, overall normal, but you know, it does get a bit boring after a while, so yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. Conti also in a GTR. Nice to see some different cars this season, and again, quite a really refreshing livery, I have to say. We've seen Hubens for an entire season racing, and now another GTR is showing up. That's looking a little more fresh. So yeah, I have to say Conti, I think between the two Nissan GTRs, I don't know, it's a really, really close one, but I do quite like Conti's as well. It's close between those two. I'm not sure which one I want to pick. And then Malott in one of the only Hondas out on the track. At the moment he's stuck on pits, so he's not doing laps. So when I say on track, I mean as in just in the championship. So yeah. Anyways, he does like his liveries. He makes his own ones. He makes them for different people. He makes them for other people. And he's out there currently in a new livery, and we'll have a close look at that when he's actually out on track. Then is Lavagnos, who, of course, whenever I see the backside of that car, I'm like, whoa, it's stunning. Because the front is kind of, it's really simple. We can barely see the branding, but as it comes past, you see, oh, Petronas. Oh, you see the Mercedes little triangle. It's like, yeah, there we go. That's inspired by the Mercedes F1 cars. So, yeah, really good livery, as always. I think definitely stands out from the grid. Then we have an old name, Gross Christoph in the Ferrari, who unfortunately has not had the best of racing with us in pretty much his entire career. Unfortunately, he's just been struggling a lot. He has been at the back of the grid almost every single season, so it is unfortunate for this driver. Then we have Schubert, who just joined in his Shazoo livery, blue and red. It's kind of, again, like last week, it just reminds me of the of a cop car, or police car, as you might call it in the UK. Cop car, I think that's American. What do you guys call it? A cop car or police car? Just shout them out in the live chat. And Riley joins us from the YouTube side of things. Welcome, Riley. Thanks for joining us. And as far as I know, your wheel isn't working at the moment because of some power issues, I think. Is that what it was? Just correct me, but yeah. But I'm assuming the moment you get back in, you're going to be racing on a rig, and you'll be faster. Maybe. It might take you a couple of weeks to get used to it. Plus, there's also, as you said, you just want an R5, so, that's going to change at some point. Oh no, we skipped the driver who I was so looking forward to seeing again. Apologies. We do of course have Taylor in that yellow and red McLaren. We chatted to him earlier on in the season. But here we go, Alfred. Oh, we can't see him quite, but you can see just in the background, you can see that green Porsche just sticking out behind the other Porsche of Dutton. And now Alfred, last season he did give us some great racing between himself and another driver, and it was just really great to watch. All season long these two were battling, and it was just great. It was lovely to see. So yeah, good to see Alfred back in. Now of course, as you heard from Craig, we do have 2 drop rounds to use during the season. They're not mandatory, they're there in case you can't make a race. You don't lose any points if you sign out of the race, which is that's what a drop round is. It just provides you some extra buffering so you don't lose points because you're not making a race. That doesn't mean you gain any points, you just don't lose any. If you don't sign out of a race, you don't use that drop round when you can't make it, you'll get 5 points deduction for every race you miss. And I think at some point, if you miss too many races, you automatically get disqualified. So there is that to keep in mind as well. Six and a half minutes left in practice as our drivers try and smash out those last couple of laps. Hosko currently with the fastest, a 1:33.377. And Peter's not far behind in that BMW. We didn't see Janssen, did we? Is Janssen in? Sorry, Warburton. I don't think Janssen's in today. He's not racing today, by the looks of things, unless I'm just completely blind. And yeah, Riley, extreme technical difficulties. That's a nice way to put it. Marcy saying hello in the Twitch chat. Welcome, sir. Hope we do not disturb you too much during your race. You of course need to keep your eyes on the road. Just make sure you're going the right direction at all times and you're driving safe. That's all that matters. As long as you do that, we're okay. So you can actually see the different classes separating into their different kind of timing slots, if you will. Now, to make it easier for you, if this is your first time joining us, check out the backgrounds of each car number. So you can see Hosco on the top left corner of your screen. It's highlighted red. P1 is Roman Hosco. He's got the BMW symbol to the right of his name, and then the car number. That's his car number, car 17. Now the background of that number, the colour background, is the class he is in. So white, which Hosco's in, is for the Pro class. Grey is for the Pro-Am class, as we can see with Puller down in P18, currently ripping it round in that BMW, and red being the AM class, such as Duru in P20. So, in summary, white is Pro, grey is Pro-Am, red is AM. So that's just a really quick way to kind of distinguish between them, really quick way to know which car is in which class, which driver is in which class. I'll obviously, you know, as we go through the action, I'll be talking you through that, just to help you out, just to make it easier. But yeah, then you don't have to keep wondering, oh, who's this guy? Where's all the colours? So now you know. Now it's easy. It's easy from here. Now you can commentate yourself. Now you know exactly what's going on. Yeah, Riley saying he's glad Hosco's in the right class now. I don't know, because Hosco, as we heard from Craig, he's not necessarily as consistent. So I do agree to a certain degree with Craig in terms of the consistency, but that loss of consistency isn't really due to, as we heard, a lack of practice. He's been putting in a ton of hours lately into these races. In fact, that's why he stopped racing in the GT4 season, is so that he could focus on these GT3 races. But in terms of, yeah, usually he just gets rear-ended, and he was quite upset with that. So maybe pace-wise and, like, you know, just in terms of the effort he's put in this season, it is good to see him kind of up there where he belongs. But at the same time, yeah, it feels kind of weird having him up there. And I was actually just checking the stats from our last race here at Oulton Park, and apparently Hosco was a podium finisher down in the AM class. Good old days, huh? It's really been great to see these guys just improve their racing. You know, we've had some guys right from the start, from the broadcast history, just right at the start from season 2, start quite low, and they've matured, they've gone all the way up. So that's what's happened to Hosco. Obviously started in the AM class, now is up into the Pro class, apparently training with Topenka and challenging him at some points. So yeah, the effort is paying off, and we can see that from his race position at the moment. Kurt Peters 3/10 off his best time, but Hosco does have 12 laps under his belt so far during this practice session. They only have a minute and a half remaining, so these drivers will probably just be testing out their, I was about to say liveries because I saw that pink lamp on the background. They'll probably be testing out their setups for qualifying, which is just around the corner. So if this is your first time joining us, just a reminder of the schedule for tonight. It's 45 minutes of practice. You join us now for the last minute, and then 20 minutes of qualifying. That will then be followed by a 90-minute race, so slightly longer than we're all used to. It's kind of the endurance aspect of this season. We usually 60-minute races or 2 30-minute sprints, maybe the occasional 75-minute. That's like a one-time thing. But now the leaderboard gets shuffled as the drivers put in their quali laps, their quali setup laps, steering it up to P2. Jordan taking P1. Jordan, of course, in the usual HSR Motorsport livery. Now I am seeing a new Lambo ripping it round the track, and I believe that is going to be Limburg's down in P11. That's not the Lambo. That is a Lambo. The pink car. Very similar livery to that to Pinker. He's got some lime highlights on it, which just break it up really nicely. So So in terms of simplicity, yeah, just the right amount of complexity / simplicity. It just lacks a bit of branding, so it just looks a bit empty, I think. But still, you know, nice to see again a very colourful car, and Lindbergh's putting in the laps, currently P2 in his class, and Simmons in P6 taking the P1 position doing practice. And last couple laps remaining, the last couple guys coming around the final sections of the racetrack. Do we have anyone else joining us late? Valentine, Huben, Conti, Milot, Mishka down in P32. Oh la la! Hello there, sir. Almost, I'm not sure whether that's meant to be a Ferrari or a bit. Oh, it's because it's two cars in one. Yes, sorry. I was going to say that looks like a very interesting mix of BMW and Porsche. Just looking at it, you can see why. But yeah, Mishka in the BMW. He started off season 3 in a BMW as well. He did not do too badly, to be fair. He is up in the Pro class, and he does do the liveries for a couple drivers on the grid. One of those drivers is sitting right next to him, Craig Hewlett, to the right of that BMW, his left, our right, just so you know, in case you might be slightly a little hard with the direction. But yeah, so here we go then. Let's have a quick break before we hit qualifying, and we'll see you all in just a couple seconds. Right, and here we go, qualifying now underway. We are of course following Lindbergh's at the moment in that Lamborghini. He posted the second fastest Pro-Am lap time. Now if this is your first time, then I will explain the qualifying format. Basically just fastest lap, obviously, you know, that starts at the top and then preceding laps below that. But in terms of the classes, the first 10 minutes is completely dedicated over to the Pro-Ams and the Am drivers. The last 10 minutes are for the pros only. That just means the track is slightly cleaner for the guys that really want it or need it. Of course, that does mean that if you are a Pro-Am or an Am, you need to properly get out those pits really quickly, and then, yeah, just keep going. So, yeah, it is quite an interesting format. So, Warburton now coming through turn 1 on a lap in the Mercedes, and I just noticed we probably should be going on a little bit of a track tour, if you will. And actually that McLaren's not far behind. In fact, I think he's ahead of Warburton just a couple seconds. So let's see if we can find a driver. Oh, and that is Manship slightly into the gravel at turn 5. Oh my goodness. So let's go on board with this driver. This is Fox. So onto the bonnet, turn 1 is kind of a late apex fast right-hander. You can see we've got the virtual mirror up at the top so you can see what's happening behind. Then through the right-hander of turn 2, Denton's now into Cascades, turn 3, late apex, but you need to carry the speed, you need to trust the camber, you need to trust the downforce. Run it out wide into the curb, not too far. There is a surprising amount of grip there. Now through Island Bend, turn 4, really quick right left-hander, just slightly lift, then it's straight braking line for turn 5, Shell Oils corner. Gets on the power early. There's a lot of camber that you can use, a lot of grip to be used on the exit through turn 6, straightening it up for the chicane of turns 7, 8 and 9. Again, you can use the curb, just not too much, and as we heard from Craig, consistency is key. Now through Hilltop, down into Hillops, turn 10, 11 and 12, this sequence of 3 corners. You can catch the curb on the left hand side, not that first corner, there's a sausage curb there. Then on the exit, just make sure you're using all that curb as much as you can, up the hill, Clay Hill to be exact, turn 13, then into turn 14, the water tower. Keep the line straight, try and get your car straight for turn 15, Druids Corner, which is that double right-hander. Not sure whether that classifies as a single corner. Then it's into turn 16, Lodge Corner. We can take it a late apex, and then just be careful on the exit, because that happens. It's the decompression through turn 17, the final left-hander. Yeah, turn 16 is the killer. Turn 16 is the one where you need to watch, or you need to watch your throttle input. It's a decompression, it's a hill. You're going to have less grip under throttle input. Same with the brakes, actually. So, we do have some good Pro-Am times on the leaderboard now. Lindbergh's taking provisional pole position for the Pro-Ams with a 133.8. Simmons P2, Fox P3. So not a bad performance from those drivers. If you give me just a moment, we can get that. Lovely, just trying not to press the wrong buttons on my keyboard so we don't actually just shut down the entire stream. Yeah, it has happened before. We almost switched off the whole stream. I think it happened at the start of last season. I was trying to get the buttons right and yeah, hit the wrong one, and we inadvertently almost switched off my PC, which turned off the entire stream. So, but we won't make that same mistake again. 5 minutes left in qualifying, and the laps keep pouring in. Manship now taking P4 in the Pro-Am class, so some tight competition for provisional pole. P2 through P4 seem like a really good battle. Simmons 0.523 seconds off of Lindbergh's. Warburton only 0.538, so there's only a 0.15 second difference between them. The Manship slightly further off, 0.6, but it seems to be a good battle for P6 overall. Fox and Puller 1.2 and 1.3 seconds off of the pole position, as Fox slightly improves. So we do have invalidated lap times from Lindbergh's and Simmons. We can follow Warburton in that Mercedes. He does seem to be on a slight positive delta as he comes through the second sector into the braking zone for turn 10. Then it's going to be the left-hander of 11, right-hander of 12. He's got Puller just ahead, so hopefully Puller doesn't intervene too much or interfere too much. You can see just how much that Mercedes is bouncing on the exit curb. That's what happens when you use it a little too much. And we've had a couple times where drivers just lose complete control of the car, and it's a right old mess. Oh, and Conti going wide at Druids Corner, turn 15. But here we go, Warburton now round the final corner. Can he improve his time? Can he take P2? Can he take provisional pole? He needs to have improved by half a second to do so. Coming across the line, where does Warburton go? Nowhere. Unfortunately, just at the end, not improving on his time. Now we do, of course, have the AMs to worry about at the same time. That's the only thing I don't like about this qualifying format. Story in the McLaren, first time out racing with us in HSR Motorsport broadcast history, and he is not doing too badly. P1 for the AMs so far. Lewin P2 in the Mercedes, and Conti taking P3. That's a surprise P3 position, I think, for Conti. I don't think we've seen Conti qualify that high before, unless we just haven't watched AM qualify at all. So Story then 0.2 seconds up as he goes into the second sector, and you can see just how much he's sliding that car around, working all 4 tyres, pushing that car to its absolute limits. Now through the right-hander, he'll be trying to cement his position, maybe even pull into the Pro-Ams so that he can have those extra cars behind him at the race start, just so he can have that security between himself and the other AM drivers. Conti is a way down, but Conti just got replaced by Ozduru by only 300. So Ozduru now up into P3 for the class, Conti P4. It's a great racing there between those guys for position. Of course, Story has to deal with that slower car ahead of Rookcroft. does get a bit of draft from it on the straights, but yeah, it is in the corners where he might lose some time, maybe. I don't know. Let's see, how does he fare coming through the final corner? Turn 16. He's got that decompression. Oh, and he's gone wide, and that's invalidated his lap time. So no improvement for Story on his time. He won't be able to defend that. Pfeiffer, though, in P8, suddenly takes P3 for his class. Pfeiffer in that very familiar livery. Pfeiffer, our last race winner for the AM class. Back racing again at the podium position. Kind of position on the leaderboard. That sounded very weird. You can see Warburton stationary at the top of your screen on turn 5. So Pfeiffer also pushing to make some positions and start from a good place. And the end of qualifying for the Pro-Ams and AMs is approaching. It is 50 seconds left for these drivers to set a couple final lap times. For the Pro-Am class, then it's Lindbergh, Simmons, then Warburton at top 3. Then for the AM class, it's Story, Lewin, and Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer is the driver we are following at the moment. Now Conti, of course, was looking quite strong. He's down to P5 at the moment, so I'm not sure he's going out for another quali lap. There's Christoph just in the foreground. And yeah, the pros will start filtering onto the track at any point now, so we just need to keep an eye out for that. Don't get too distracted by these guys, because now the serious top level racing will start. I mean, we have seen some brilliant racing from the Pro-Am, so not that they've been rubbish. They have been absolutely brilliant to watch. In fact, most of our four-way battles occurred in the mid-pack. So yeah, great racing in Season 3. Oh, and Pfeiffer going slightly sideways. And Lindbergh's improves his time. So Lindbergh's making sure that Simmons is not coming close. He's the second clear of both himself and Warburton. Pfeiffer, one of the last drivers to make a lap, and he's spun out on Island Bend. Oh my goodness, and he hits the barrier on the entry of turn 5. Let's have a look at Jim Fox again. Not quite improving, slightly further up. Puller is on a good lap. He's currently going into the 3rd sector after this sequence of corners. Turns 10, 11 and 12. Now I will say, before the pros start putting in their lap times, they are out on track. They haven't set their lap times yet. This is the last time we'll be checking the live chat, because unfortunately during the race it's just non-stop. I don't get time to do that. So yeah, let's see how this fares then. The pros start filtering out. Puller still on a lap, one of our final drivers. The two BMWs are Fox and Puller. So Puller currently P5. Will he improve? He needs to improve by 0.3 seconds if he wants to make a position. Across the line, here he comes. And unfortunately, not enough. There was an improvement, but just not enough for what he wanted to do. So the pros will start setting their lap times now. And as we heard, consistency is key, but at the same time, pace is also a big factor. Peters, let's go on board with him. He's had some pretty good qualifying performance in the past, and unfortunately I think that is him slightly wide through turn 1, so his lap's likely going to be invalidated right from the get-go. Jackson seems to be on a somewhat alright lap, but yeah, let's follow Peters now across turn 4, Long Island Bend, into turn 5, Shell Oil's corner, and then out onto the long right-hander of turn 6 before they hit Britain's. So the action will start kicking off in just a second, so I'm just trying to save my voice for that. Now, while all that's been happening, we have not been keeping an eye on race control, and looks like there have been a couple issues with contact, car 57 with someone else. So yeah, there is all of that possibility. Right, now the lap times are going to start coming in real quick as the drivers set their first couple of laps. And there we go, we're getting the first ones. Hosco not the fastest, currently P2 on the grid, but of course, you know, that is lap 1 usually for you. Cool, so through turns 10, 11 and 12. Let's see how Hosco fares. Can he improve on his time? I think he will, because this is not a guy who just, you know, sets one lap and that's all he can do. He does tend to push all the way, and as we heard, he's put in a ton of practice, so he's not just going to be lounging about. He's going to be doing a lot of work. So across the line, Hosco still currently P6. I'm sure not quite the result he wanted, but we are getting some other laps in now. Lavagnos taking P2 ahead of Rebecci by 0.2 seconds. Then only a hundredth between Rebecci and Morris for P2 and P3 in the Pro Class. So I think Limburgs is going to be promoted to the Pro Class if we were to take qualifying as an indicator of performance. I'm interested to see how Rebecci responds, just coming through the final couple corners now. That McLaren running through the start line, and he has improved slightly, but not enough. It is really close between our top three. Actually, P5 and P6 are also just a couple hundredths apart. There's a bigger gap between Deeringer and Hosco. Deeringer just up to P5 now. So Deeringer in P5 overall. P4 for his class, 133.655. So not too shabby. Oh, and Lavagnos off into the dirt, and Jordan takes P1 for the class. Jordan taking provisional pole for the Pro Class. Jordan in the BMW, and there's Craig Hewlett setting the provisional pole. So here we go, now the battle starts kicking off. Jordan is on a positive delta though as he comes into turn 3. So we'll just have to see how this fares. Sector 3 starting about now as they hit turn 13 up Clay Hill in towards Tower. So Jordan, one of our HSR eSport team members, will be pushing hard to make up that pole position again. Hosco now taking P2 in the class. So here we go, the battle for the top 5 kicks off. Lavagnos unable to set a lap. Rebecci on an invalidated lap. Jordan on a positive lap. He has improved his time. Let's see, coming across the line, where does that put him? P2 for Jordan as he comes across the line in the BMW. Now Peters comes across the line just behind and takes P2. So that means Hewlett is still on pole position. Peters P2, Jordan P3. So now it's just really kinetic. Hosco taking P5, so he's improved on his time. Rebecci and Lavagnos still out on track. Peters also pushing, potentially trying to take that pole position. He's got 3 minutes remaining in which to do so. Hewlett might just get out for another lap. Jordan is still running, but he has invalidated his lap time already. Or he's just on an out lap. And looking at the delta, he is on his lap. He is on his out lap, so disregard. But yeah, Peters still going around the track. He can improve. He's potentially got another 2 or 3 laps in him before the end of the qualifying session, so he's going to be pushing hard. But not so as he pulls into the gravel. Jordan, of course, has not set a valid lap. Let's go on board Deeringer. P6, he was of course the driver to surprise us just a couple moments ago as the lap times tumbled really quickly. Currently P4 in his class, P6 overall is the man in the Lamborghini. One of 2 Lamborghinis on the grid today, 3 in the entire championship, 4 in the entire championship. And just a moment as some technical glitches get sorted out. I apologise. Still going slightly haywire. That was not pretty. Yeah, so basically it's so that we can have replays enabled. Sometimes the software just goes really dodgy, and yeah, just doesn't look as great. So yeah, hopefully that is all of that sorted out. Duringer currently P5, so he has improved his time. Peters and Jordan back out, only a minute and a couple seconds remaining in the lap. And Peters and Jordan are both invalidated on their lap times. Duringer on a positive delta coming through sector 2 now, turn 5. There is a stationary car or a slow car on the exit of Cascades. Oh, using all the track available is Duringer in the Lamborghini, pushing that car. He wants to make at least a position on Jordan, and if he wants to, he's going to have to improve by about a 10th. In fact, a 10th might be all he needs, it's plural, might be all he needs to get up to P3. Peters only 55 hundredths off of Hewlett's time, so really close racing there. Rebecci also out there. Oh my goodness, Rebecci just displaces Jordan by a hundredth, so Rebecci now P3. So it's Hewlett, Peters, then Rebecci, our top 3 for the Pro Class. And here comes Duringer now through the final corner. How does he do? How does he fare? Does he improve? Yes, he does. Oh my goodness, by quite a lot. P4 for that driver. Now only 8 tenths off of provisional pole time, and Hewlett has not opted to come back out. Duringer being the only driver, other than Rebecci, with the possibility to improve. Rebecci now through Druid's Corner into turn 16 up next. Where will he come out? We've seen him battle for P3. Hosko now takes P3 for the Pro Class. So brilliant battling up there at the top for the top 5 positions. Here's Rebecci now through turn 17. Across the line. Where does this put him as final attempt? And Rebecci takes pole position by almost 2 tenths. Oh my goodness. So track temperature might have played a role there as the track warms up slightly for these drivers. That's Rebecci taking pole position. Peters with an invalidated lap time, unfortunately. No, it wasn't invalidated. He takes P2 away from Hewlett. So Hewlett thought he was all set. And here comes Rebecci and Peters taking P1 and P2. So, yeah. Wow. That was a couple last second moves for the race lead start. Wow. That was interesting. So in just a couple moments, we will be hitting the track for 90 minutes of racing. This has only been qualifying as the last driver now comes across the line. Who is that? No one that we know in particular. So, it is now time for the race to begin in just a couple moments. So give us a couple seconds. Oh, that's not right. And there we go. That's how it's done. Sorry. Some issues with the software. But, as I said, we'll be back for 90 minutes of racing. Grab a good old mug of coffee, because you'll need the caffeine to keep you going through these 90 minutes of hard action. And, yeah, grab a comfy seat and we'll see you in just a couple of moments. And here we go, the race start in just a couple moments. But before we do that, we'll have a little bit of a grid walk as we take control of the little drone setup conveniently for us. So, starting in pole position. Oh, this is going to be interesting. There's Rebecci. Let me just turn on. Let's just get up a little. Let's just get our leaderboard up just so it's a little easier for you guys. So, Rebecci starting on pole in that McLaren on the left. Then it's Peters in the BMW P2. Hewlett P3 in that McLaren just to your left. Hosco in P4, that BMW to your right. Then we've got Diringer in the Lamborghini, the black Lamborghini. Then finally Jordan maxing out the P6, and that's going to be kind of the end of that train of pro drivers. Then it's Limburg's interrupting that. The only Pro-Am driver to set a lap faster than a pro driver, other than, of course, everyone setting a lap faster than Valentine down in P20. So that's going to be Limburg's in the Lamborghini down to your left, Dutton to your right in the Porsche, Lavonios in the McLaren, Morris in the Ferrari, Jackson in the purple Ferrari, Schubert in that blue Ferrari. Then, after that little mix of Ferraris, we've got Marcy, the end of that long train of pros, to your left, and Manchip starting the Pro-Am class kind of train in the McLaren to your right. Here's Simmons flashing his lights in that green and black Mercedes, right alongside another Mercedes, that being Warburton. Puller not far behind. Story in that red McLaren coming through to take P1 for the class. And the cars start leaving, so there's Lewin in the Mercedes. Then we've got Valentine in the McLaren failing to start. Novell, there's Conti, Rucroft, there's Alfred, Taylor, Huben, Malott, Christoph, and starting from the back, that's Mishka, having not set a lap time. So, yeah, fun little grid walk. Unfortunately, didn't get round to seeing all the cars. But, yeah, I think we lost it from about Valentine in that McLaren, who's just making his way up the grid now, back to his starting position, maybe a slightly slow start for him. Then Pfeiffer down in P3 for his class, so brilliant qualifying performance from him. Fox, one of the lone Pro-Am drivers, slightly further down the grid. Novell in that yellow Porsche, as you would say it in America. I just call it a Porsche, but sometimes I call it a Porsche just because sometimes. There's Ozdiru in the black Aston Martin. Conti, of course, in that white and blue, almost said yellow for no particular reason. Conti in the Nissan GTR, Rucroft in the Aston Martin not far behind, as the camera needs to take a quick sweep around, and it needs to do another quick sweep around because we're just at that section of the corner. Alfred, nice to see you back again, buddy. And we've got Taylor, who is of course streaming his own POV as well. So if you guys check out, I think he's in the general voice chat for the HSR Motorsport server, so just go check him out as well, show him some love. Then we've got Huben in that Nissan that just went past Malott in the Honda, the only Honda today, the only NSX out on track. Let's have a quick look at the livery. Gold, grey and black is all I'm seeing, with too many stickers to count. Potentially a little too much complexity there, I think. Christoph, P31. Of course, unfortunately a familiar starting position. Then Mishka in the BMW looking really fresh, giving me vibes of Mark at Zandvoort, to that Audi, that lone Audi in the championship. Again, just that white, black and blue livery, and he's got, you can see just a little bit of HSR Motorsport branding on the side. So I'm sure Mishka will be looking to make some great progress up the back of the field. He is, of course, last for both his class and overall. But now the drivers come into their two lines to start round 3 of the Season 4 Championship. Sorry, I'm so excited I'm choking. So, yeah, round 3, Season 4, Oulton Park, 90 minutes to go. Let's do this. And the green flag waves at Oulton Park, and it's a brilliant start for Peters. Round the outside at turn 1. Is he going to make it past Rebecci? Not quite. They're side by side now. They lose ground. Hewlett's also slightly sideways. That's Peters. A massive gap ahead. Hosco holding up Jordan just behind. Jordan now having a tangle down the inside. Not quite there. There's the Lambo of Diringer going around the outside, and the pink Lambo just behind. Dutton also making some good progress. up the field, and it looks to be a little tight coming into turn 5, and we do have a load of drive-throughs. 4 drivers maybe starting the race slightly over speed coming through the start line. There's Morris making a move on Dutton just behind. Oh my goodness, and that's Dutton round on turn 5. Morris, oh my goodness, why are those drivers over there? Oh my goodness, there's Christoph sideways as well. So we've got drivers on the inside of turn 5 sideways, Lavanios and Alfred, 2 of them. Yikes, that is scary. Jordan now going around the outside of Hosco into that little trio of corners. There's a Lambo going straight on, but Jordan's got that move done. Great racing up here. That Lambo behind joins in behind the second Lambo out onto the gravel. So an interesting race start then. A couple drivers sitting with some penalties. Hosco, of course, not letting up on Jordan. He's still right behind him. He still wants to put some pressure on him. But speaking of pressure, Hewlett has dropped down the grid once again. He's now only 0.1 seconds off of Rebecci. Now we did see those 3 drivers, Rebecci, Peters and Hewlett, kind of swap positions during qualifying, so they're just going to leave the entire pack behind. There's already a 2-second gap between these 3 and Jordan just behind him. We can still see on screen. So some close racing quite far down. Morris about to make a position on Pullard down in P13. Rucroft losing ground. Where is Rucroft going? Rucroft into the pits. And I think he's trying to serve his drive-through. Malott also with a drive-through, and Christoph. So 3 drivers right from the get-go with a drive-through. Fortunately, it is not a long pit, kind of a long pit lane, but it is still a lot of time lost nonetheless. Rebecci now right up on the back of Kurt Peters for the race lead. You have, of course, seen Rebecci's moves in the past. They have been slightly desperate at times, but you know, it was all like somewhat okay. Now there is a bigger gap. Schubert and Dutton having a battle. There's Manchip also getting involved. Manchip now down the inside of turn 10. Does he get the move done? Yes, he does. Clean racing from the McLaren on the Ferrari. Brilliant overtake from Manchip to take P11. Now, unfortunately, it is not really much in terms of class, but he has managed to put that Ferrari behind him and between himself and the BMW of Puller. Now, Puller, of course, wants to fight for P2. Manchip's too quick for him at the moment. Manchip putting that BMW between them, so he's got that extra security, that extra buffer, so he doesn't have to fight Puller just yet, but he's right up behind that Porsche of Dutton now, so he might make a move at some point as well. Pfeiffer just swapped with Mishka for P18, and Story about to make a move on Morris at some point as well for P15. So Story trying to push some lap times. Here's Mishka on Valentine now. Pro 1 Pro. Mishka's had a brilliant start. Here he goes round the inside into Cascades, and that's a position made up for Mishka. So Mishka with a really good start. He's up to P17 already, and considering he started literally dead last, that's impressive. Oh my goodness, that's Puller into the barrier, turn 5. Make that rejoin clean, please. No, he doesn't. He's slipping and sliding round the circuit. Oh my goodness, there's Warburton as well. Slow on the exit of turn 5. What's happened there? So car number 1, that's the number we need to keep in mind. There's Taylor making a position on Huben potentially as well as they come out of that corner. So yeah, as we were talking about consistency, and just don't put a foot wrong here, because if you do, that's potentially a trip into the wall, as we've seen a couple of times this race already. Huben in the foreground, looking at Taylor, not quite there. Foxy right up behind Puller now for P17. And yeah, that is Puller heavily under pressure from Fox now in that BMW just behind. Both of them have damage. Puller has more damage, so he's going to be slightly slower just in terms of grip and overall speed. Puller going onto the defence is Fox, and he's going to have a slightly better exit, maybe out of Druid's corner into turn 16 and move, maybe not quite, no. So they are still behind, and Lewin looks to have had a horrible start to the race as well, just behind these 2 guys in the Pro-Am class. So Lewin unfortunately suffering a bad race start, but here's Fox. He's still 0.1 seconds off of Puller. It is close racing between these 2. Look at how close they are to each other. Compared that to the distance between Fox and Lewin, it is very close. And Huben dropping back slightly. Oh my goodness, and that is a Mercedes facing the wrong way. That's Simmons dropping down the order. What has happened there? We'll have plenty of replays to look through later on in the race, but at the moment we follow Fox trying to make a position on Pollard. Lewin not far behind. Lewin in P27 in the AM class looking to make a position on Fox at some stage as well. So almost a three-way battle for P25. We could have one of those. Pfeiffer just overtook Jackson for P16. Valentine just overtook Marcy for P14. Story just dropped a position down from P12 to P13. There's a move from Lewin down the inside on Puller, and Fox gotten by around the outside into turn 10. So an easy move for that BMW driver. Oh my goodness, and that's Warbirds into the wall again. What's happening? I'm just seeing a Mercedes splattered everywhere. Osduru, I think, just conceded a position to Lavanios. Lavanios making some good progress through the grid early on. Mishka absolutely thundering up the grid. He's now in P11, so he's made some really good progress. Now Hewlett just round the outside, now the inside as they come through the left-hander. Now into turn 5. They were side by side there for a second or so, and that's Rebetti going slightly wide. Hewlett now putting some good pressure on Rebetti ahead for P2. Our top 3 battling hard. Hosco and Jordan not far behind. You can see them just in the background there. So yeah, quite a kinetic start to the race so far. So Peters still the race leader. Hewlett, P3, trying to make a move for P2 on Rebetti just ahead. And that gap stays pretty much consistent. Hewlett though with a good exit out of Knickerbrook, up Clay Hill into turn 14 and then 15 now, Druids Corner. Does Rebetti feel the need to go defensive yet? Is the question. He's right up behind him. He's using that slipstream. Yeah, slightly. You can see Rebetti thinking, oh, I need to start covering those angles. Maybe a little dip to the inside. 0.3 seconds between these two, so there is potential for action up here right at the top. Lavanios about to make a position on Pfeiffer for P15. I think Lavanios may be losing out slightly due to, I don't know, maybe a collision or a spin out. I'm not sure. We'll see it all on the replay if it was a collision. If not, then we will have no clue what happened until next week. All the drivers give us their feedback. Lewin now about to make a position on Huben down in P23. I think we can leave these guys just in time to see Lewin have a look down the inside. There's Jackson making a move down the inside and pull off for P25. Jackson fell down the order and he's still alongside, now just ahead as they come through turn 17. So just ahead, Lewin putting Huben under pressure. Their names are quite similar, so I might mix them up potentially. But the Mercedes then following the Nissan. That's a way to remember them. The orange car. Oh, and that's Huben slightly wide. Is this going to be a flawed exit into turn 5? Maybe a move, potentially. Is that possible? Of course, Jackson just behind is in the Pro Class. Oh, and through Island Bend, that is Huben going slightly wide, and he's wide again. And that is Huben slightly wide. Lewin down the inside now. Jackson down the inside as well. So Huben going wide through both turn 4 and turn 5 has lost 2 positions in that whole exchange. And here's Jackson now looking to make a position, but I don't think Lewin's going to be stupid about it. He's taking a really defensive line, maybe just trying to let Jackson by, but still have a defensive line in Huben, and that has worked out just right for Lewin just behind. And he is now still defending. He is now past Huben, but defending then from him. So good racing from the man in the orange, Mercedes-Benz, who has maybe had not quite the race he wanted to so far down in P24. And now we maybe get a slight break from the action, maybe a slight breather. Half a second are some of the typical gaps. Rebetti 0.4 seconds off Peters, Morris a second off. Mishka dropping down the order. What's happened to Mishka? Has he gone into the pits? Yeah. Sorry, no, that's Puller. Where's Mishka gone? Where has I mean, let's follow Jordan out, trying to put some pressure on Hewlett, but I swear we had Mishka dropping down the order. Manship loses out to Conti. Where's Mishka gone? I cannot see him. Is this potentially a disconnection? Oh my goodness. So Mishka, after making such good progress, is nowhere to be found on the leaderboards. That is heartbreaking. He started last and he made it all the way up to P12, and now he's just gone. Slightly further down the grid though, in P7 is Lindbergh's the lone Pro-Am driver in the top 10. P2 is Taylor all the way down in P17, so Lindbergh's just needs to keep the pace going. He's right up beside a fellow Lamborghini driver, he's right up behind him. So yeah, all he needs to do is just keep the pace consistent. He's within sight of the race leaders just ahead, so as long as he can keep a consistent pace, he'll be fine. Just don't make any mistakes, just don't expose yourself to too many mistakes, and you'll be fine. Warburton now into the pits, and we did see the unfortunately poor performance from him at the start of the race, just struggling to keep the pace going, into the walls constantly. Valentine now also into the pits. We do potentially have a three-way battle between Conti, Manship and Lewin developing. Huben only a second behind as well. There's McLaren getting a slightly better exit maybe. Let's go on to the Helicam. Here's Conti in the Nissan ahead. Manship in the McLaren, and there's Conti just giving that position over. He's under threat from Lewin now into turn 5. Lewin takes advantage. He's gone wide. There's Conti now trying to respond. And Lewin with a very opportunistic and very desperate lunge down the inside just about manages to take that position, and he's now ahead of Conti. Conti now under pressure from Huben just behind as well. Wow, so some exciting racing going on there. Conti going wide into turn 4, I think trying to let Manship pass, but in the process inadvertently giving space for Lewin. Lewin did make a massive dive, and there's Conti going wide yet again. He does like the taste of grass and gravel. Doesn't matter where we go, might be the European soil, as he liked it quite a lot at Imola, and yet again here at Oulton Park. So Huben makes a position on Conti now for P5 in the class, P21 overall. Now there is close racing. Hewlett managed to make a position on Rebecci at some point. So Hewlett now up to P2, Rebecci P3. Rebecci now under pressure from Jordan. So a tight top 5 still. You can see Hosco keeping Diringer, the Lamborghini, just behind. 0.4, 0.3 seconds between Hewlett, Rebecci and Jordan. Similar gaps all around. Diringer half a second. Oh my goodness, and that's Hewlett off into the wall. Rebecci just ahead, now under pressure from Jordan. So our top 3 drivers suddenly having a reshuffle as Hewlett hits the wall on the exit of turn 12 Knickerbrook, now into Druid's Corner. So 4 drivers now fighting for P2. All that means that Peters is pulling out a 2.5, 3 second gap, and you can see both Jordan and Diringer having a look down into turn 16, just making those drivers ahead think for a second that they were coming past. Oh my goodness, what happened to Hewlett? There's Jordan coming quite in close behind Rebecci. You can see just how much speed the drivers behind are carrying. Jordan now potentially with a move. There's Jordan now trying around the inside of turn 2. Now through turn 3, through Cascades. How do the exits compare? Jordan has suddenly fallen behind Rebecci, and of course that means he's slowed up the 2 drivers behind. So now it's a 3-way battle for the last podium position. Jordan in the BMW ahead, Hosco in the BMW in the middle, and then Diringer in that Lamborghini behind, the black car. Oh my goodness, a lot has just happened in the last 15 minutes. So our top 5 then, 4 of those drivers separated by half a second and now a second. The Vanyos making a move on Marcy at some point. The Vanyos in the McLaren just behind Marcy as they go into turn 7, and it's right up on the bumper, slightly wide on the exit, maybe slightly focusing too much on the rear bumper, of Marcy, but he's had a good run through Hilltop now. Maybe a move. There's Malott just getting out of the way. Good awareness from him. Straight back onto the racing line. Good predictable racing from the man in the Honda NSX. And Lavagnos losing out slightly to Marcy through that sequence of corners now. Almost a second difference between them. And is that another driver losing ground? Hosko suddenly drops down to P11, so Hosko's had an issue. And yes, there is major damage to the front of his car, so Hosko with some sort of issue. I'm assuming either a spin out or a huge crash. There's Lavagnos now, just ahead and going round the outside of turn 17, and that's Lavagnos now up into P11. So Lavagnos taking advantage of that situation. Marcy may be slightly distracted by that slow BMW, and yeah, suddenly the shuffle has begun once again. And Malott has just made a position on Conti. You can see it in the background there, that Honda just ahead of the Nissan. And Conti is not having a good day. He's just dropping down the grid. Oh my goodness, and I think Hewlett has not bothered to reconnect. Here's Schubert losing a position to Morris just a couple seconds earlier, and he's now under pressure from Story in that McLaren. Story going down the inside. He's having a look. There's a piece of braking marker flying around the circuit. And you can see Schubert is feeling the pressure of that McLaren just behind. Is there going to be a move into Druid's corner? That's going to be gutsy, but it is possible. Schubert going to maybe slightly defensive. No. And whoa, Story with a fake to the inside. Forces Schubert wide. And that's a lovely bit of, yeah, it's a good bit of mental manipulation by Story, making Schubert think he was going for a dive down the inside, keeps the line narrow, and Schubert under pressure just runs wide. So I think that was planned. That looked like a decent overtake. That was not just luck, I think. It's a great performance from Story. Currently an AM driver mixing it up with the pro drivers. Jackson further down the grid, half a second off of that BMW Fox just ahead. He's wanting to join his brothers and sisters up in the pro class as they fight for position. And Hosko just continues to fall down the grid, but that could be his pit stop though, because remember we do have that mandatory pit stop for fuel. That needs to happen. So with all that in mind, yeah, we could still see Hosko maybe coming back at some point. Jackson round the outside of Island Bend, turn 4, so he can have the inside line. Nope, trying to put Fox under pressure. Oh my goodness, turn 5, and things are freezing up. What's happening? Fox still ahead at the end of that exchange, that glitchy exchange, unfortunately. So Jackson just behind Foxy, and he's gone wide into the gravel slightly, as almost all drivers do around turn 9. Now a close gap is going to be that of Novell down in P22. I'm sure Jackson will be making a position at some point, but Novell half a second off of Rucroft just ahead. Now Novell is in the Pro-Am class, so Rucroft doesn't really have too much of a squabble, but he needs to make up that ground on Alfred. He's also in a Porsche, so that could be interesting, a Porsche on Porsche battle at some point today, potentially. Neville certainly having the pace to make it so, having the pace on Rucroft potentially for that to occur. 0.4 seconds. Alfred now suddenly dropping down the grid. So Alfred and Lewin suddenly swapping positions. Lewin suddenly out of nowhere appearing on the screen as both Novell and Rucroft come filing past him. So again, Lewin just dropping down the order. What is happening to this Mercedes driver? He hasn't even had his pit stop yet, this poor man. Oh my goodness. So up the grid again, Jackson looking for a move on Fox into the first set of chicanes. He's got Manship just behind. We've seen the pace Manship has had all season long, and maybe Jackson feeling that pressure because Manship, of course, has to make a position on Fox ahead for P2 in the Pro-Am class, so Manship will be fighting to get past at some point as well. 0.5, 0.6 seconds between Manship and Jackson, and a similar gap ahead to Fox, but Fox has had a slightly slow exit out of there into Druid. It's going to be slightly closer. Jackson maybe with a move down the inside. No, he is slightly far back for that, but Fox runs wide. Is this his chance? He's alongside. Oh my goodness, and that's Conti, perpendicular to the track. Oh my goodness, Fox just squeezing through there, but he then concedes a position to Jackson, and now it's a fight for P2 in the Pro-Am class between Fox and Manship. There's Malott just getting out of the way as well. Oh my goodness, and that is Fox into the wall. Chaos on the start straight as Malott's involved. Watch out for the cars! Oh my goodness. Across the track, Puller almost in there. Woo! So Fox falling down the order, almost taking out Taylor as well. Watch out for these guys as well. Oh my goodness, he's parked it right on the apex. Rucroft under pressure from Lewin, and Novell just behind as well. These guys fighting hard. Lewin now half a second of Rucroft, so a lot happening there in the last first sectors, and you can see Fox in the background, that forlorn BMW. But we focus now on this little battle, three-way battle between the Mercedes, the Aston Martin and the Porsche. Rucroft ahead in the Aston Martin, Lewin in the Mercedes. Here's the Porsche of Novell also getting involved. So a bit of multi-class racing, two AMs trying to fight for P4, and then Novell trying to get past so he can start challenging for P4 in his class as well, with Alfred ahead in the green Porsche. And Novell right up on the back of that Mercedes, pushing him to the limit. And unfortunately Lewin has not had the best day today. Slow exit from Rucroft though. Is this a move potentially into Druid's corner? It is, as we've said, it's a gutsy move, but you just put that psychological pressure on them. They go wide, but not this time round. There's Alfred just ahead, letting someone through. And is that potentially Alfred with some damage to his car? I'm not sure. He does come into the pits. So Alfred now into the pits. I think there is damage to his car, a little bit. Here's Lewin looking down the inside into turn one, both defending from Novell. So Novell's going to have a run now down the inside of Lewin. No, he's tucked back in behind him forward turn three. Oh, that's Rucroft slightly wide. His exit's going to be compromised. Here we go. Lewin maybe a move through Island Bend or into turn 5, just hang it wide, right up behind him. He chooses to just follow that slipstream. Novell's fallen behind slightly. Oh my goodness, and that is Lewin really close up behind Rucroft. And Fox just made it past Alfred. Just behind, so Alfred coming out of the pits. There's Malott getting involved, the back marker. Novell just getting his way past. They've just passed that car a lap ago as well. So Malott unfortunately struggling this race. Rucroft slightly sideways on the entrance of turn 10. Now through turn 12. Oh, and Novell's eaten quite a lot to curb there. Maybe a track warning, maybe not. Still right up behind that Mercedes though. Still putting him under pressure. Here we go, closer battle now between Rucroft and Lewin. Maybe a slight run for Lewin, the Mercedes, onto the Aston Martin. There we go, into turn 16. And that is Lewin up past Rucroft for P17. Great move from that Mercedes driver into P18. But now, that's Rucroft under pressure from Novell, not far behind. Only 0.4 seconds, of course. He's still stuck behind both of these two drivers. So I can't imagine he's too happy with that. And we have just seen Novanios and Schubert make a position change a couple seconds ago. And that is for P10. Story getting mixed up again, P9. It's only 0.4 seconds off of Morris, who we've seen is a driver that goes on a rampage almost every race, starting lower down on the grid than he should. But you know, then pulling out a great performance. Great to watch him go round. And he's only 0.3 seconds. An AM driver about to make a move on a pro driver up for P8 overall. Morris won't like that because, of course, he wants to chase down Craig Hewlett. So Craig Hewlett's still in the race. Good to see, he's still there. Craig Hewlett now in P7 overall. And Hewlett's just made a position on Dutton. What has happened there? So much is happening around the racetrack, and so much has happened around the racetrack. So you might have a little bit of a gap to look at some race replays. Oh my goodness, that contact, this is huge. Right, let's start fairly easily. Peters and Rebecci, 5 minutes into the race. Let's have a quick look at this. So this is the race start. Peters starting P1, coming across. And yeah, just that little tap there, I think. So not too much happening there. That was the race start. And of course, Rebecci is still half a second just behind him. And there's Warburton allowing Lewin past. Taylor and Manship potentially with an upcoming battle. 0.7 seconds and 0.8 seconds. Manship now only half a second off of Taylor. So this could be for P2 in the race. P2 in the Pro-Am class. Oh! And that is Manship coming right up to the back of that yellow McLaren. And now he's under threat from Puller. Puller choosing to tuck in behind. But I believe Puller is way further down the grid, P22, and Manship is P16. So there shouldn't really be a contest here. But of course, if Puller's faster, then he might choose to allow him the overtake. There's Taylor making a move on Pfeiffer down into turn 16. Simple move for the McLaren, but the Ferrari not quite happy with that position swap. Still wants the position out onto the left-hand side of the track. Taylor cuts him off into turn 1, and that is the position secured for Taylor. So now Manship has got to fight his way past the Ferrari as well, in addition to the other cars. Now again, Story putting Morris under pressure. This is what we like to see. 0.2 seconds between these two. An AM driver putting a pro driver under pressure. I'm assuming they're going to swap this guy around into the pro class if there is space. Could be a worthy contender for Limburg's up in P5 overall, P1 for the Pro-Am class. I'm just also keeping an eye on Jordan up in P3. He's potentially making a move on Peters at some point. Only 0.2 seconds between them now. And they're not far ahead. You can just hear their cars. Jordan really close up behind Peters. Here's Story also really close to the back of Morris. But here we go. Looking around the outside, Jordan has to concede for turn 5. There's the Lamborghini of Diringer not too far behind. So this could evolve into a three-way battle for the last podium position. 0.5, 0.4. That's the gap. There's Lewin, there's Malott just ahead, a couple back markers. So depending on how they filter through the traffic now, there could be some, there could be some extra action we were not anticipating. Jordan going slightly wide. Oh, and Malott, is he aware? Yes, he is, going slightly onto the grass in an effort to let them by. That means Jordan is now up right behind Pete, 0.3 seconds. And Jordan seems very eager to get past. He's got the pace. So let's just see what he does with it. And just under an hour to go now as the action dies down, but the penalties do not. Drive through for Morris in P9, and Story just got past, but probably because of Morris trying to serve that drive-through. So Jordan still half a second off of the driver ahead, half a second off of Peters, and now there is a 3.3 second gap between Rebecci and Peters. So Rebecci, the season 1 champion, showing why he managed to get past Topinka at Imola last week. Jordan, look down the inside, Lewin's there, right up behind that other BMW. So it's Jordan in the red BMW behind, Peters in the yellow one, and Deeringer's gotten stuck behind that back marker. Really close between these two now. Jordan right up behind the yellow BMW ahead. Through Druid's corner, little tap on the brakes. Oh my goodness, and I apologise for the glitching, some camera issues through turn 16, penultimate corner. He's gone for a narrower line on the exit. He's got the slipstream. It is not a track where slipstream will play such a big role though. It's only on the start straight. Having a look down the inside. Not quite there. Not quite an opportunity yet. He just needs to bide his time, I think. Just wait patiently. He'll get his opportunity. Just keep putting Peters under pressure. Peters will crumble at some stage. Everyone does, but maybe not. Maybe Peters manages to keep his cool. There's all these different factors you need to take into account. Through turn 5, still half a second between them. So let's have a quick look over at some race replays. There's some contact further down the grid, right at the race start as well. Let's just see how this goes into turn 10. Is there potential? Yes, there is. A little look down the inside from Jordan. Oh, the action seems tight. I don't quite want to cut away yet because this is close. Jordan is right up behind that yellow BMW and he's starting to feel the pressure. Peter's starting to crumble slightly, and that gap between himself and Rebecci for the race lead has grown to about 4 seconds now. So the longer he's wavering, the longer he starts doubting, the longer he starts defending from Jordan, the longer he's engaged with Jordan, the bigger the gap to Rebecci. And someone's dropping down the grid. Not sure who that is. That's Limburg's off track going into turn 15, and he's had an adventure with the wall. Oh my goodness, and the hood is slightly up, so Limburg's the Pro-Am race leader. He's got quite a big gap to the drivers behind, to Taylor for P2 in the class. Now he just needs to make sure he can get that pit stop done. He'll be losing a lot of time though. Unless there was some sort of contact between himself and another driver, car 205. Let's see, no, there's nothing between himself and someone else at the moment. So yeah, I'm assuming he just spun out. Probably just driver error. Story though, in P7, putting Dutton under pressure. And the AM class driver is pushing a load of pressure onto the shoulders of the pros ahead. He's seriously making the admins and the race stewards regret their decision to put him in the AM class for now. Huben trying to make a position on Novell for P15. Huben, another AM driver, pushing to make a position on a Pro-Am driver, and he's currently P3 for his class. Pfeiffer in P2, Story P1. Rucroft and Lewin P4, P5 in the AM class, and that gap has managed to somewhat just open up. And Schubert and Limburgs both hit the pits, so they're all fine. Story still just a second on another driver. Deeringer now past Jordan, who pits as well. So let's have another look at the race replays as things quieten down. So car 343 and 2-1, that's going to be Ozduru and another driver. Let's have a quick look at this. So race start, there's Conti, there's Novell, round the outside. And I don't quite see it, might have just been the software playing up slightly. The software thinking, yeah, not quite the same thing. Right, let's see if we can have a look at a couple more, just while the pit stops get underway and the gaps open up between drivers. Car 8 and 80, Fox. Again, I don't want to see that number up as often, although he has been good this season. He's been really good. Nowhere near as chaotic as last season. We almost had his name up every single race, but this is the first one we've had up in a while, so let's have a look at what happened between himself and another driver. So also race start, there's Fox, there's Valentine, there's Lewin, going through turn 1, and I think it is again just something with the software thinking he's had a collision somewhere, and there really hasn't been. Now we do have some contact further on, because remember we had the issue of someone hitting the barrier right at the start, so we have Pfeiffer, also 539, 544 between car 99 and 551, that's going to be Huben. Another driver as Ozduru and Warburton both received drive-throughs. So right at the start, Huben down the inside, round the outside for turn 3. Again, I think just because they're all so close to each other, they just think, the software just thinks there's some sort of contact between them. They're like, this is so close, there just has to be something between them. Novell right up behind Pfeiffer. And Novell obviously wants to make a position so that he can get past Taylor for P2 in the Pro-Am class. As the drivers start hitting the pit stops now, 52 minutes remaining in the race. The Story is right up behind Dutton, 0.4 seconds between them, up at the top. But we shall leave them to battle. Malott just coming out behind Fox. Just losing out. So the Honda right up behind that BMW now. So 21 and 10. 99, that was Huben. And then we had Dutton engaging with a different driver. Let's have a look at this. So this is the turn 4, turn 5 chaos. Right up behind Lindbergh's. No, again, just the software, I think, making a mistake. Christoph was involved in a start of race kind of chaos. Car 12 involved. But car 12 is not currently here, so that might be one of the drivers that was involved and just decided to leave the race just because it might have been such a bad result. So Christoph now into the pits, P25. Let's have a look at what happened. So the race start, that's Alfred right behind, into turn 5. What is happening? I do not understand it. We're just trying to filter through all the content. Here's Morris, P7, P6 at the moment. Car 14, let's have a look at this replay. Hopefully there's someone this time. Oh, there we go. So that's Morris into Dutton. We saw that just at the top of the screen. And then just a slow exit. And that is why Morris fell down so far and has to work his way all the way back up. But he's made a decent job of it. Now up to P6. And Craig Hewlett receives a drive-through down in P10. So the action still quite tame at the moment. Except between Marcy and Novell. Just ahead. 0.6 seconds between them. There's a slow McLaren out just ahead of Pfeiffer. And there's Novell going wide, and Marcy says, thank you very much, I'll just have that position. And you can see there's Peters also coming past now in the background of the screen. Marcy right up behind Pfeiffer now. Marcy looking for another position. This is a pro on a Pro-Am. Of course, being laughed by another pro driver. It's not what you want to see. Marcy maybe slightly slow at the moment. Again, this is not quite what you want to see. But here we go. Move on, Pfeiffer. He's got plenty of speed. And Pfeiffer chooses, nope, I'm not going to get out of the way. I'm going to keep my racing line. You go around. Massey's not quite comfortable doing that into turn 10 yet. Out the exit. Up the hill though, up Clay Hill. He's having a look down the inside into turn 14. He's going to be around the outside of turn 15 for Druid's corner. And Pfeiffer's trying to defend. He's going wide. Massey is going to have a brilliant exit out of here. Let's see how he does. Pfeiffer immediately on the defensive. Great battling here for P11, but ultimately Massey just gets by under braking, and Pfeiffer needs to let Peters through as well as a blue flagged car. Not quite abiding to it though. There we go. Now he has. Oh my goodness. So yeah, a little bit of battling there. Schubert now trying to get past Novell after his pit stop. 48 minutes remaining in the race. Still quite a while to go. We've had some good action in the first hour and 10 minutes of the race so far. The first 40 minutes. So let's see how Schubert manages to get past Novell at some point. But of course, now all these drivers who have pitted need to get past at some point, is they're just stuck behind the traffic because of that pit stop. Now at times does so happen that they cannot, so we just need to kind of be aware, just keep an eye out. And looks like Novell has pulled a 1 second gap on Schubert, so yeah, maybe another one of those drivers who's making the admins regret putting them in these classes. Jordan only 0.3 seconds off Dieringer in the Lamborghini, and there's a BMW. That's Foxy getting slightly in the way. Dieringer and Jordan now going past through turn 3. Jordan right up behind that Lamborghini just ahead. Here we go on board with Jordan in the BMW, trying to make a position on Dieringer for P6 overall and P5 in the class. Right behind him as they go into turn 5. Looks like turn 5 is the corner where we lose connection to the cameras slightly. Now into the braking zone for turn 7. See just how much curb these drivers use right up on the edge as they go over the hilltop. Now into turn 10. And Jordan is really close to Dieringer. He is just waiting for that position. Jackson now pits further down the grid. Ozturu about a second off Lewin for a position. There's a battle still between Novell and Schubert. Schubert now 0.4 seconds off Novell, down at P12. So there's that to take into consideration. Morris pits now, so Dieringer and Jordan will be coming past at some point, past the pit lane and past Morris. Of course, that is just a pit stop. So Morris, oh my goodness, does that mean Morris? Yeah, Morris now in P5. So Morris with a brilliant recovery run after that slow start. Of course, we do still have 45 minutes in the race remaining, so we're about halfway through our race here today at Oulton Park, and it has actually been lovely. Last time it was absolutely pouring with rain. This time it's a lovely 16 degrees Celsius, so slightly cool. But yeah, compared to the soaking wet conditions of round 6 season 2, this is absolutely lovely. So coming through turn 5, right up behind that Lamborghini. They're coming up on another back marker. Let's see how they deal with this traffic, because of course that does have an effect on their performance. And Dieringer maybe having to pull off slightly on the accelerator. Conte being aware, good job. He hasn't really influenced it too much. And that gap is back up to 0.4 seconds. Rebecci now pits from the race lead. So the majority of drivers have now pitted. Let's just see how this battle goes between Jordan and Dieringer. It's just been going for so long. I'm not sure it's happening anytime soon. Let's see. Someone else has just pitted. That is Novell into the pits down in P13. And there's still quite a consistent gap between these two. We'll keep an eye on them. 0.4 seconds, 0.3. The Lamborghini maybe a slightly slow exit out of the final corner. And there's the McLaren just ahead. That looks like Rebecci, so Rebecci emerging just ahead of Duringer and Jordan. If these two could somehow inconvenience Rebecci, that could work well for Peters, who still needs to pit. And Jordan right up behind Duringer, he's just waiting for his opportunity. Right up on that rear bumper, again through turn 5. Really close, I'm just waiting for an opportunity. And there's Hewlett with another drive through. Down at P8. Oh my goodness. And the man himself is the fulfillment of the prophecy he spoke of right at the start of the race. But here we go, Jordan now into turn 10, has a little look. No, still not. Every time there's like a little peak of interest and then it drops back slightly. A little peak of interest and then it drops back slightly. Looking at Duringer and Rebecci, they're about a second apart now. So Duringer maybe closing a bit of ground on Rebecci. Their best laps are a bit apart, so doing a 0.2 seconds slower than Rebecci on his fastest lap. But of course, consistency is what determines your overall finishing position, as we heard from Craig Hewlett, the man himself. So Hewlett now emerging P10 after his drive through, Dutton into the pits. He's being overtaken by the drivers right now. Dropping down the grid. Big 5 at the moment. Not sure where he'll emerge. And it's still Jordan in the BMW behind. Looking to make a position on Duringer ahead. And then Rebecci in the McLaren even further ahead. But look at this. Duringer now only half a second off of Rebecci. So there could be potential here for a move. Holding up Rebecci, putting Rebecci under pressure, and then Peters just has to pit and come out wherever he can. And then depending on how much these guys influence Rebecci's line and his pace, could we see a battle for the race lead? Slightly shaky exit for the BMW as they come over the hilltop now. 0.4 seconds between all of them. And on the braking, obviously, that will close up. 0.3 seconds. And Hewlett is making a move on Marcy. Let's just go for a quick on board. Hewlett looking around the outside. A little cut back on the exit of Cascade. A little touch between them. Hewlett saying, excuse me, I want this position now through the fast left-hander. He's not quite got that move done. Marcy still ahead. So Hewlett ahead for maybe just a second. And he lost it. Unfortunately, Marcy putting up some stiff resistance to the man in the McLaren who's had such poor luck through both Season 2, Season 3 and now Season 4 as well. And here we go, exit of turn 9, and he's alongside, round the outside, over the hilltop. Is he passed by the time they hit the braking zone? Not quite yet. Marcy opting to take the inside line, still side by side. Hewlett having a brilliant battle with Marcy for P9, but he's ultimately passed him by the time they hit the exit of Knickerbrook. So that's Hewlett then finally past Marcy for P9. Then right up to the back, Jordan's just cut past Duringer for P2. Let's have a quick look at this 15 seconds replay. So here we go, alongside into the left-hander of turn 4. So maybe a slightly slow exit for the Lamborghini. And yeah, the BMW just takes advantage. So while all that happened, they still caught up to the back of the McLaren of Rebecci ahead. Peters looks like he's had something go wrong during the pit stops. He's now at 11 seconds behind Jordan and Duringer. So these two are now fighting for overall race lead. This is incredible. So Rebecci, our current race leader, P1 in the Pro class, Jordan P2, Duringer P3, and we've got them all within a second and a bit of each other. And we're now about halfway into the race, 40 minutes left in the session. Avanios making a move on Dutton at some point, 0.3 seconds between them. The McLaren of Avanios just behind Dutton in that orange and black Porsche just ahead, 0.3 seconds, 0.4 seconds between them as they head into turn 16. Through turn 17 we go, and the lights will begin to come on now as darkness starts to fall. 0.2 seconds. There's Dutton going wide, and Lavagnos says, thank you very much, I'll just have that position, P5 for Lavagnos. And there's still close battling going on for the race lead. Rebecci just ahead of the BMW. And I swear for a second there, must be hallucinating, but Jordan maybe flashing his headlights, saying, oi, I'm faster, let me past. I don't think Rebecci's going to want to do that at this stage of the proceedings. Half a second then between those drivers, and depending on how they fare through Druid's Corner, we might have a quick look at some more replays. Yeah, let's do it. So, car 17, not currently on the grid. Jordan, who we're following at the moment, yes, he had collision at 6 minutes and 17 seconds into the session. Let's have a quick look at this. So Jordan or Hosco, just on the exit. Oh, a little love tap to the rear maybe. Something along those lines. But here we go. We've just caught him in time, trying to go round the inside of turn 3 on the exit of that corner. They are very close to each other. There's Jordan, have a little peek, pushing Rebecci, forcing him to take that inside line. So competitive racing for the race lead. Jordan putting Rebecci under pressure. Now this is interesting because Rebecci, last time round that he fought with Jordan, dive bombed him and essentially took Jordan's chances at taking the race lead away from Topinka. He just completely destroyed those chances. So now Jordan, I'm sure, is in full memory of that, and he's just waiting for an opportunity to get past. He knows Rebecci a little bit on the track, and Jordan putting on a bit of a show with his fakes to the inside, forcing Rebecci to cover that. And at this point, I don't think Rebecci knows where Jordan will go. I don't know where Jordan will go. He'll maybe give a fake and then go for it, or he might not. You know, he'll do a proper fake. So I'm not sure how this will go. Race lead at stakes here, 37 minutes left in the session, so Jordan still has plenty of time. He's gotten past Deeringer, he knows there's a difference in pace there. So, who knows, Rebecci I think might drop down to P3 at some stage. Deeringer I think has the pace to get past. We'll just have to see how it goes. So through turn 1, that BMW going slightly slidey. Through turn 2 we go. 2.3 seconds. Close between these two. And yeah, Jordan's just pushing that BMW as hard as he can. He's sliding around. The rear's slightly slippery. Turn 5, they're only 0.3 seconds apart. Limburg's now on a threat from Jackson. No, sorry. All the way around, Limburg's putting Schubert under pressure, 0.3 seconds between them. Down in P12, it looks like he's about to make a move at some point, 0.2 seconds between them. So it's even closer than this battle. Here we go, here's Limburg's on the inside of Schubert into turn 16. He thought about it twice, but unfortunately he did not manage to make the move stick. He was thinking about it a couple of times. On the exit though, he's got that slipstream. Is he going to make a move into turn 1? Yes, there it is. Little look, but just under braking, he has to drop it back. Jordan only 0.1 seconds over Rebecci. We've got two battles going on simultaneously. And Jordan drops back slightly from Rebecci now, 0.3 seconds off of the driver in the lead of the race. We are currently following Limburgs, who of course wants another pro driver behind him, so he has that extra buffer to Manship. And Novell's doing really well this race. He's currently P3 in the Pro-Am class, as the battle for the race lead somewhat abates. Almost half a second between Jordan and Rebecci for the race lead. We might get a little break from the action here. Watching Limburgs and Schubert. Here's Limburgs down the inside once again, right at the end. That's when he tucks back in. So you can kind of start to pick up a pattern to his strategy. Oh my goodness, and that's a bouncing Ferrari just ahead. Schubert going slightly over the curbs on the exit of Knickerbrook. Now into Druid's corner. And Schubert, oh, I thought for a second he would almost succumb to the same psychological trick we saw earlier from the Pro-Am driver. And here we go down the inside. This is Limburg's opportunity. Down into turn 16. And he is he's side by side now on the exit of turn 17. I thought he got the move done. Not so. He's got the inside line though. Turn 1. Moves back ahead of Schubert. And that is finally Limburg's back up past Schubert for P11. Almost loses it though on turn 1. Just slightly slidey on the exit. Now another interesting battle to watch will be Huben making a position on Roocroft. This is for the last podium position. Story in P1 for his class, P7 overall, Pfeiffer P16 overall, and Huben now trying to make P18 stick, and P3 for his class as well. 0.4 seconds between these two, and Huben sliding on the exit of Knickerbrook. That's him essentially out of contention for that position. Past goes Craig Hewlett up in P9. So Hewlett unfortunately struggling this race, but yeah, he's still out there. He's still racing. That's what you want to see. Don't really want to see guys leave the session just because they had a suckish race start. There's still a load of racing left to go. Warburton, the drive-through in the pits, P26, and I'm not sure whether he's going to come back out. He's just had an absolute rubbish race so far, unfortunately. There's just no disguising it. You can't sugarcoat it. And Jordan and Rabetti have both gone off on the second chicane. Oh my goodness, and there's Rabetti trying to cover him off, banging into the side of the BMW. Here comes Dieringer. He's got some speed on him. What's happening? They are fighting, they are rubbing, and Rabetti has dropped back. Here's Dieringer now past Rabetti. Jordan takes the race lead. Oh my goodness, what happened there, Rabetti? We've seen some dodgy moves from him before, but nothing like this. He was still banging wheels with him after the incident. I don't know what happened there. Both drivers we suddenly find in the grass at turn 10, 11 and 12. Hillops into Knickerbrook. And yeah, after both going off, Rabetti really pushing Jordan and actually bumping into him. That I don't think there is a difference between racing hard and racing fair. I don't think that was fair racing. Novell down in P15 overall and P3 for his class now receives a drive-through, so he'll have to drop a couple positions as well. So that potentially puts Taylor up into podium positions. Now for the AM class, it's still Story, then it's Pfeiffer, then it's Roocroft. And Huben, of course, with that slide just before we saw this bit of action, has dropped back quite a bit, so he's not going to be making a position at any point in the future. But let's see if we can get a replay on what just happened. So this is Dieringer and Rabetti. So 5, 55 and 16 are the cars involved, 5 and 16. So I think, yeah, we do have some contact a little bit earlier. Rabetti looking at a position on Dieringer at some point, but I don't think he's going to manage to get past. He's just been slightly slower on the pace this race compared to last race in comparison to the rest of the field. Let's have a quick look at this replay then. So down into turn 10, he's on the defensive, hits the curb, both drivers go off, and then he cuts back in, and we've got that contact ready on the next replay. Here we go. So after that smash behind, slow exit, and yeah, Jordan pushes him off track, so Rabetti couldn't do anything else after that. Yikes, that was a slightly tense exchange between these two. I'm sure there will be some words exchanged between them as Jordan now pulls out almost a second gap on Rabetti and Dieringer. Dieringer holding up Rabetti slightly, 0.2 seconds between those two drivers in P2 and P3. Slightly further down the order, Taylor, he's 0.7 seconds off of Pfeiffer, a AM driver. But before we talk about that, here's Rebecci, maybe a move on the Lambo. No, doesn't quite have the exit speed for that. But then, yeah, back down to P14, Pfeiffer in the AM class, and Taylor trying to make a move at some point in P15. He's got a 5-second lead on Novell, who has cleared his drive through, and yes, he has dropped behind Taylor. So Novell running in P3 for his class. Yeah, unfortunately, just that drive through put him behind so far now. So Rebecci then the closest driver to another on the circuit, and Craig Hewlett's back in the pits down in P21. What has happened there? Can't wonder too much, because Rebecci is putting a lot of pressure on Deeringer. He's right up behind him. 0.2 seconds, 0.3 seconds. There's half an hour left in this race. Well, just another third to go before it's over. Another third for Deeringer to try and hold off Rebecci. But the Season 1 champ is trying to show him what he's made of. And we've seen what he's made of previously and today as well. So if I were Deeringer, I would be slightly worried as to the condition of that Lamborghini after or during the overtake. But let's just see what happens. Who knows? Maybe Rebecci has a change of heart, decides to go for a clean overtake this time. He's not building a good reputation for himself. But yeah, close racing. It is close racing though. It is entertaining to watch. Half a second between those drivers, and we do still have loads of replays we can look at, so let's maybe jump over to collision right at the start of the race. Car 199 and car 27 involved, 199 having left the session, and Rookruff's still there, so I think this is still part of the race start chaos. Let's have a quick look. So here's Rookruff, Mishka ahead, Conti behind. And oi, Conti just a little tap to the rear, and you can see Simmons in the foreground. He was just there for the ride. He was just kind of in the middle of nowhere. Rebecci now still half a second off Deeringer, so there's still quite a lot to happen between them. Now we have car 85 and 80, and that is going to be Malott in the Honda and Fox in the BMW. Let's have a quick look at this. So you can see Christoph in the background. Malott through turn 5, going slowly, very slowly indeed. And again, just a bit of fake contact. Morris now receives a drive through in P9, the pro driver. And Rebecci managed to get past Deeringer at some point as well. So Deeringer now down to P3, and that was a very recent occurrence. Let's see if we can have a quick look. This might be slightly off time. Let's go for it. So Deeringer ahead, still at turn 1. So it was quite a recent overtake. And Rebecci with just a lot of speed. I'm assuming he just kept carrying that momentum through turn 3. I think something must have happened there for Deeringer to then just suddenly drop behind Rebecci. Unless there was some form of contact, I don't know. Let's have a look at the list. Is there contact between car 16, which is Rebecci? No, there isn't. So yeah, that's still all clean at least. Now I'm just looking. Morris does have contact with Fox. Again, just car 80, you can pick it up. Morris now into the pits. Just ahead of Hewlett, here's Fox. Camera needs to pan to find him. So Fox and Morris had a collision, so that might be where that drive-through came from. Let's have a quick look at this. So through turn 5. Oh my goodness. Runs wide. Oi! Ay, 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 ay. Not quite aware of what's happening as he re-enters the track and inadvertently takes out the that Ferrari of Morris just coming past. That is really unfortunate. And now Fox goes slightly wide, and he needs to let Jackson through as a blue flag driver. It is his duty to make sure he doesn't get in the way too much. But yeah, Rebecci now 3 seconds behind Jordan, 1.5 seconds clear of Diringer down in P2. Morris, of course, dropping down the order. And Taylor right up behind Pfeiffer for P13. Two different classes. Taylor right up behind that Ferrari. You can see, obviously, this is the driver that is streaming his POV, so you could go and check out his stream to see what it looks like all from his perspective. I think he does have a driver cam on, so you can see his live reaction as well. But yeah, Taylor putting some pressure on Pfeiffer now for some of that top 15 positions. Dutton and Marcy both into the pits. I'm assuming that's for their pit stops because everyone else has done it, as far as I know of. Just still a second between them. Let's have a look at some more replays, shall we? We've got more time. So back right up at the start. 3-2-3 and 6-9. This is Jackson and Marcy. 10 minutes into the session. Let's have a look at this. So there's Dutton behind. There's Jackson. Marcy just ahead. I guess they just got so close and the Beatles were like, yeah! Yeah, that's contact. Yeah, anyways. Not quite what we were looking for. Car 3 and car 2. That's going to be Story. And who else? Car 3 is not even still in the session. So, yeah, car 3 is just retired. Car 2 is Story, that red McLaren who is absolutely dominating the field in the AM class. Let's see what happened between himself and another driver. We're at the start again. There's Jackson across the track. And Story going through that left-hander. Race start chaos as usual. Got no idea what happened or why it happened, stuff like that. But it did. It just happened. Taylor once again right up behind Pfeiffer as we see Story going past Christoph now. Great to see Christoph more aware than usual. Right, let's have a look at some more race replays. Car 77, Peters, and car 57. That's going to be Christoph again. So this might be something to do with those pit stops. Let's have a look. So here's Peters. 3-10-4. Huh. Again, sorry, the computers just seem to be, yeah, they don't quite seem to be on point today. But you know, you just keep going, you just keep looking at replays, you just keep trying to find them. So we'll get there. We'll get a proper contact at some point. We did see a couple of those earlier, car 13 and 10. That's going to be Lavagnos and Pfeiffer coming together. This is going to be interesting. Let's have a look at this. 14 minutes. So there's Pfeiffer in the Ferrari, Lavagnos in the McLaren, into turn 5. Again, what's going on? I don't quite see where the contact is. Hewlett and Robecci. Hewlett, of course, into the pits. Robecci in P2 at the moment, after having got past Diringer at some stage earlier. Let's have a look at this. This was right at the start when they're all behind Peters. Again, the replay is just not quite working this time round. Car 999, let's try this one. So Manchip currently defending from Fox, who is a back marker, so you can't really say he's defending. Let's try, hopefully the software picked this one up. So there's Manchip coming out. Again, it's just, what's going on? So we are getting clips of stuff that don't actually matter. And Taylor got past Pfeiffer at some point. Car 197 on car 10. That is for P12. So let's just have a quick review of our top 3, our podium drivers. Oh, Morris with another drive-through. I'm assuming he's just hit the pits to serve that same drive-through. But yeah, let's go through our podium kind of positions for all 3 classes. We've got Jordan, then Robecci, then Diringer for our pro class. Lindbergh's, Manchip and Taylor. Manchip, who we are currently following. those are our Pro-Am top 3, and then Story, Pfeiffer and Rucroft, our AM class drivers. Quite a bit that's happened over the course of this race, but unfortunately, you know, we don't catch all of that. We don't see all of that. Avanios, I think, just set a fast snap, 1:33.3. So Avanios making some ground on the drivers ahead, and Rebecci has brought the gap down from about 3 seconds down to about 1.5. So could we see another battle for the race lead between Rebecci and Jordan? I'm not sure. Potentially, we'll have to see. 16 and 4, 16 and 5. Let's have a look at a couple more recent ones. Car 1 and 85. That's going to be Puller and I believe Malott. Let's have a look at what happened here. Over in the please work. Software, please work. Puller and Malott in the same shot. Yes. Is there contact between them? No, oh, it does say possible contact, so okay, I'll give you that one. Let's try Jackson and car 343. Please let this work now. If it doesn't work, we probably won't be looking at any more replays. Jackson in the Ferrari, coming up on Osduru. Yeah, there's contact. Hello. So Jackson saying hi. Our pro class driver coming in. And Osduru says, what are you doing here? So, while we were looking at that, Rebecci's caught up right to the back of the BMW now for the race lead. Rebecci 0.2 seconds off Jordan. He's back again. We are fighting once more for the race lead, and we have seen so much happen for this already. There's the BMW already going off into the grass. Maybe slightly slidey, trying to correct it at the end of turn 1, and then just turn 2. He just hit the gravel on the other side of the road. Maybe a slight overcorrection. Betty's got a slight run down through turn 4. 0.3 seconds between these two guys for the race lead. Further down, just to make you aware, Taylor is not quite clear of Pfeiffer. He's half a second ahead. So there's still that gap to keep in mind. But as we saw, Taylor was just behind Pfeiffer for so long. He just seemed like he was a faster driver, just the way he kept coming back. 0.4 seconds, then dropped down to 0.8 seconds after maybe a little an error, and then just right back up to 0.4 seconds. But we are following Rebecci now, 0.3 seconds, half a second off of Jordan, just ahead for the race lead. Car 999 and 57 both slow somewhere on track. 57 being Christoph, unfortunately in a familiar position. Yes, there he is, just on Druid's corner, halfway through. And he does seem to be stopped indefinitely. If he's moving, great. Just keep going, buddy. But yeah, if not, then I think that might be Christoph's race over. He's just had such a rough time. But good awareness. If he can keep that car moving, yeah, good awareness from the driver. Currently down pretty much dead last. P23 at the bottom of his screen. And Christoph, yeah, unfortunately he's just not had the best of days, best of races today here at Oulton Park. Jordan managing to pull out a slight lead on Rebecci for a couple seconds there, a couple moments, but it's back down to 0.7 seconds. Now we do have some contact between Christoph, as we were talking about him earlier. You can see the little dent in his hood, and he did have some contact with Craig Hewlett, car 4. Let's have a quick look at this. Going through the right hand of turn 5. Turn 6, he's kind of in the middle of nowhere. He's not quite sure where to go. Oh, yay! And that's maybe what put Hewlett into the pits. So yeah, unfortunate moment there between the two. Rebecci now closing the gap on Jordan as they head up the hill through turn 13. Now turn 14. He's only 0.2 seconds behind him. He's really close. He wants that position back so badly. Woo! Here we go. Turn 16. Jordan feels the need to cover the inside. Perfect positioning from the BMW driver right in the middle of the track. Rebecci now looking for a position, 0.2 seconds. He's back in a familiar scenario, 15 minutes to make a move, 15 minutes to seal P1, and I'm assuming because of the contact we saw earlier, he's going to need to build a lead if he wants that penalty to somewhat, like, I don't know, to lessen the impact of the penalty. I feel a penalty will probably be coming his way and will put him behind the race winner, Jordan, at this point in time. If he gets past him, yeah, it's kind of open to debate. You know, the stewards will have to decide what happens. It's not our decision. And as we drive along with these guys, Marcy down on P11, the pro driver, receives a drive-through as well. So again, just track limits, I'm assuming. We've seen plenty of those tonight. So yeah, Hewlett bang on with his predictions. Still close racing between these two for P2 and P1. Further down the grid, Huben is looking at a move on Roocroft at some point, 0.3 seconds. Those last podium positions being fought over between the AM drivers, 0.2 seconds. Here we go, this is also into a similar section of the track. They're actually just behind the other drivers. Now into turn 16, 0.4 seconds between them. Rebecci even closer to Jordan though, 0.3 seconds. Huben, we're keeping an eye on both battles. We're keeping an eye on both battles because this is for position. Huben trying to make a move on Roocroft for the final podium position in the AM class. But he's fallen back slightly. Who hasn't fallen back is Rebecci. Onto the grass slightly, down into turn 3. Oh, and you can see the pressure, the tension mounting. Huben also only 0.3 seconds off. Now into turn 4, the McLaren's looking. He's got his left wing out. Just waiting, putting Jordan on pressure. Hopefully the overtake's slightly cleaner. Right up behind. Oh my goodness, and they touch, and that's Jordan out to P1. And Rebecci up into P1. Oh my goodness. That could have gone pretty much as predicted. I was kind of, I could see it coming from maybe not a mile away, maybe a couple hundred yards. But yeah, you can see Jordan not happy with that result at all. Yeah, it's unfortunately Rebecci just seems like one of those drivers lately who can't make a clean overtake. There always has to be some sort of rub, always some sort of collision between them. And Huber now wide at turn 15 through Druids Corner. He was only 0.2 seconds off of Roocroft, only 0.2 seconds off of that final podium position, but he's unfortunately gone wide. And again, we've just had some things just go completely wrong for these guys. So Rebecci then up ahead, and I wonder whether he is maybe lifting slightly to let Jordan back past for that collision. Yes, he is. Look at that, going slow. So great to see this bit of sportsmanship from Rebecci. Here we go. Let's restart. Wow, that was nice. It's great to see Rebecci taking accountability. So here we go. Rebecci back in behind Jordan. Let's have a redo. Not exactly the same results, please. I don't mind. I don't mind if Rebecci takes P1, but as in like not the same kind of similar incidents. I don't want to see crashes again. Down into turn 5. How close is it? It is quite close. Jordan was just that slightly bit wider through turn 5 when that accident happened. And yeah, there was virtually nothing between Rebecci and Jordan for about half a second, and then the inevitable happened. Jordan going slightly wide on the exit of turn 9. Not enough impact for Rebecci to make a move into turn 10 though. And up the hill, there's 0.3 seconds between them, not quite close enough for a move. 10 minutes remaining in the race. Good, fair racing in the top 3 right now. 0.1 seconds. There's Rebecci looking for a move. Tried selling a dummy to the outside. Jordan is not an avid buyer of fakes though. So Jordan preferring to preserve his money for maybe a little fake of his own. later on in the race should Rebecci come past. But of course we have seen these two battle so hard over the race lead, and it is great to see them still fighting alongside each other, still fighting for that position. Yes, there have been some questionable moments, but we did see Rebecci give that position back in good faith, so it is nice to see Rebecci being aware of that, yeah, you know, this is a demolition derby, frankly. That's it, I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Let's not dwell on that. It's past. It's been dealt with. Stewards can deal with it afterwards as well. 0.3 seconds between these two now, coming into turn 7. Oh, and that's a really slow exit for Jordan. Here's Rebecci. He needs to pick which side he's going on. No, still behind that BMW by the time they hit turn 10. So there's still not quite as large a gap as earlier, but it's, you know, it's really close between these two for the moment. We can have a look at the accident again in just a few moments from the replay. Is it worth it though? I'm not sure. I mean, we might as well have a look at the severity though, just for a second. Okay, let's cut back to that action a little bit earlier. Let's have a look at this again. So here we go, turn 5. Jordan slightly wide, mid-corner, and Rebecci, yeah, just a slight tap, and you can see he was kind of slightly doubting himself on the exit, kind of not sure whether he should just give that position. You can see Huben conceding position to Jackson, but I'm assuming, yeah, that is for back marking, if you want to call it, blue flag conditions. Huben allowing Jackson to pass because he's a faster car and in the higher position. Completely wrapped, if you will. We might have a couple moments more for some contact before these guys hit some more racing though. Maybe not. Huben's holding up Jordan potentially, and you can see the lights coming on for most drivers as the track starts to darken. It's now 8:30 p.m. Not in real life. It's about 9:30 p.m. in real life over here in the UK. But over there, in the virtual world, it's about 8:30, so the lights are starting to come on. It's slightly dimming out. Huben is still ahead of this trio, the top 3 drivers. There he is, getting out the way. And I mean, that's fair enough. You know, it would have been dangerous to try and pass Huben in the other sections. Although I'm slightly surprised he didn't just give that position over the straights, just lift. But at the same time, I do understand it might not have been the best opportunity, though. He's not quite given the same luxury to Deeringer, who needs to do an overtake on them. So he's losing a bit of position on both the drivers up in P1 and P2. 7 minutes remaining now in the race, and it is heating up. It is heating up. You can see Jordan slightly nervous, flashing the cars ahead. Malott doing great at avoiding these battles. Jordan again slightly sliding on the exit of turn 1. Now into turn 2. Turn 3, is there a look from Rebecci? Maybe, but not this time. 0.2 seconds between them. Looking to turn 4 again. He's just putting Jordan under pressure. We've seen this 100 times before. Now it's just whether Jordan has noticed that and knows about that particular corner where Rebecci just sticks out his left wing. I'm assuming Jordan knows about it because he's seen all that in his mirrors. So now it's just whether he's picked up on the pattern, whether he's picked up that there's a pattern to this guy's driving. That is potentially a slow exit. No, 0.3 seconds. It is a slow exit, but just not slow enough for Rebecci to be able to make a move. Still behind, 6 minutes remaining. Last couple of laps of racing now. As the back markers start interfering with these guys, they have to cut through that traffic, and that will influence their pace. Gap has opened slightly, 0.5 seconds between these two, heading into the final 5.5 minutes of racing. This is brilliant. This is what you want to see, really. Schubert and Manchip just traded positions. Now I'm P9. Let's have a quick look at what happened here. 15-second quick replay. Let's go. So Manchip ahead, Schubert behind. Oh, and I think the overtake happened just before that. So yeah, poor timing, unfortunately, but you know, still great to see the guys in the mid-pack also having some fun. But yeah, it is quite surprising to see these guys up at the top. Usually it's the driver in P1 that's just pulled out a massive gap and then, you know, just left it there, and P2 and P3 might have a small battle, but not really. No, we're seeing some battling for the race lead. 4.5 minutes remaining in the race. This is great racing. This is what we love to see. However, Novell down in P14, another drive-through. I think that's his second or third one this race. To Novell, he was in P3 for his class, had a drive-through, took it, came out P4, and this is where he is at the moment. So unfortunately, yeah, he's just losing ground all the time. So yeah, not as great a race for himself. Malott has just had an incident with another driver. Let's have a look at this. Contact. Oh, that was when he let the race leaders through. Ay, 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 ay. So I think he was over on the right hand side of the track, and Dieringer just came in really quickly, didn't know exactly where to go, and yeah, Malott was like, watch your jet, bro, watch your jet, and yeah, it's just nothing he could do, just a straight punch into the rear. Yeah, maybe slightly more square NSX going around the track at the moment than it was just a couple of moments ago. And there's Novell serving his drive-through penalty. At least he's not losing too many positions, because he does have, again, it's all about those buffers. It's about having the lower class, all the high class drivers, depending on who you are. It's all about having, it doesn't matter who, it just depends on how many drivers you have between yourself and the other position that matters. So for example, Taylor and Novell, that scenario, Taylor's got 3 cars between himself and Novell. So he's got that buffer. He knows if something goes wrong, I do at least have, you know, that little bit of a gap, and it's, you know, it's similar between Novell and Puller. But the action resumes again between Rebecci and Jordan, and I think we might see Rebecci getting past into Druid's corner. Maybe he's right up behind him now into turn 15, Druid's corner, that famous corner. We've seen some action earlier between these two through there. No action. Turn 16's coming up though. 2.5 minutes remaining of the race, and it has been tense these last couple of laps between the race leaders. Here we go, potentially the last lap or two of racing as these guys come through turn 1. And I'm bouncing, I'm just waiting for something to happen. 0.2 seconds between Rebecci and Jordan. It is close, the tension is mounting. I can just feel Rebecci, I can just hear the clogs in his brain going, I need to get past this guy. Time to get into you know, the usual mode of just send it and see what happens. Here we go, into turn 5. Slightly wider line on entry for Rebecci. Let's see, can we get a clean overtake? Come on, Rebecci, I believe in you. You can do it. You can get past. It's just a matter of how and when. Is it going to be within 1.5 minutes? Let's see. It always looks like Rebecci's got a faster exit out of turn 9. But not quite. 0.2 seconds between these guys now. Through Hillops, then Knickerbrook. That timer is running down. 1 minute left in the racing. Rebecci's time is running out. He now needs to start getting desperate. Do we see some lunges from the McLaren on the BMW? I'm sure we do. As they push the limits of those cars, the tyres will of course be shot. They will be completely non-existent. Maybe a little bit of grip to them, as these guys just keep trying to find that grip anywhere they can on track, so the line might deviate slightly. Kind of as a side note, we do have Novell trying to make a position on Huben, but here we go, the final lap has come, and we still have a battle on for the race lead. This is brilliant, this is what you want to see. 0.4 seconds between the two, heading into turn 3. Oh my goodness, I'm nervous, Jordan's nervous, Rebecci's nervous, he wants to get past again, slightly narrower line into turn 4, pulls back behind. Oh my goodness, that's Jordan wide! No! And there's Rebecci down the inside into turn 5, and Jordan has just lost the race lead. Rebecci up into P1. Rabetti takes the race lead, and Jordan has fallen down off the throne of P1 on the final lap into turn 5. And oh my goodness, I'm sure Rabetti, oh my goodness, Jordan I'm sure will be absolutely gutted with what has happened there. Rabetti was not to blame at all, and yeah, Jordan just went wide, caught the curb, caught the grass, and spun out. So Rabetti then takes the race lead in the final lap, and wow, what a race it has been in these final couple of minutes. Rabetti piling on relentless pressure, and I think Jordan, he just let that get to him just that tiny little bit too much, that tiny little bit that forced him into the grass on the exit of turn 4. But here we go, round the final corner now, and Rabetti comes across the line to take yet another race win. He's across the line first for the second time in a row. Rabetti wins round 3 of the Season 4 Championship as the checkered flag waves at Oulton Park. Jordan and Deeringer take P2 and P3 for the Pro class. Then it's going to be Story down in P6, crossing the line first for the AM class. Our rookie driver ready for that checkered flag. He's got a massive buffer to Pfeiffer, so he can just take his time as he comes through the final couple sections. And Story has got some serious pace. I'm not sure he's going to be hanging around in AM for a long time. I think he's going to be moved up to either Pro Am or Pro. I think, you know, next race I think we'll see that happen. You can see just ahead that's Fox trying to make a move on Massey. Maybe just a bit of, you know, interclass blue flag condition racing. But here we go, Story across the line, our AM class winner for round 3 of the Season 4 Championship. Pfeiffer will take P2, and then Rucroft P3. Rucroft holding off Hubin for a really long time, and here's Limburg's also a rookie, so it is a night for the rookies, and they have turned out in force. Yeah, there you go. Limburg's takes the Pro-Am class win. Brilliant performance from that driver. Manship P2, Taylor P3. And that then is the end of an evening filled with action, both good and bad, both joyful, both sad. Wow, that was nuts. So yeah, that is the end of this evening's race weekend. Now we do have another 5 rounds to go in the season. Still plenty of action to happen, and as usual it's going to be 7 PM BST. That's when the start of practice is, and yeah, come whenever you can, join in whenever you can, join the stream. Of course, all this will be up on YouTube. The full thing will be up there, so you'll be able to watch all the race action, and we'll also bring out some highlights as per usual. But for now, we'll have to leave you. Join us for Zolder next week, round 4 of the Season 4 Championship, 7 PM BST on Friday evenings, and that is the end. Good night, and we'll see you later.